the winners finals coming in live here for you. We got MarineLorD up against Anotand. Can you believe it? Anotand in the winners finals here. I like go back like 3-4 months. I would have called you, man. That can't be right. But there he is, and he's looking good. He's looking very good. How are you, Tim?
Yeah, I mean, I'm doing great. Coming back from a great break. I hope everybody was able to empty your bladders, get some snackies, because now we're diving in to our last series here, this 7-game series between, you're right, Anaton, even in the upper bracket too, Crackety. So you gotta think, this upper bracket, it's very important to get a win in this series, because that's just gonna mean that you, again, have to lose twice once you get to those finals. So it really helps you out a little bit. I see Myriad in chat also saying that he remembers Anatan denting him years ago in the War Chief Club. Dude, Myriad, so do I. You know, War Chief Club was something that I even casted 2 years prior to doing this. And seeing him ascend to one of these arguably top 4, right, that we're seeing here with Vortex and BC that we just saw in the prior series, the astronomical climb that he's had, right? And seeing him play in this upper bracket, regardless of the result, I really do hope he's proud of himself, because I think us as a community are proud of him too.
Yeah, I agree 100%. Starting us off here, we're going to be seeing Cliffside coming in. Ruse from MarineLorD up against the Chinese from Anaton. So I'm very excited to see this one coming in. And we do have a wildcard coming in here as a map as well, because we do see moving out as a potential map here for the series.
Yeah, a little bit different this time around. There's moving at, there's Kurlager, there's 4 Lakes, which we didn't see in the prior series. It was picked, but we didn't see it. So maybe we're going to see something a little bit different. Now, this matchup with you, I know that you are the China/Zushi aficionado when it comes to the EGC casting lineup. So I'm going to toss you this question. When you go into a game and you queue against a Rus opponent, what's your initial reaction?
The initial reaction is, oh man, I'm going to get Pro Scout so much quicker than he is.
Great. That's it?
That's all. That's the entire reaction. I'm getting Pro Scouts way quicker than he is, and I'm going to get all the deer.
Yeah, for sure. You get a lot of them. You can do it quicker. You can do it in 30 seconds. Get that professional scouts. And with the ability to, Roost doesn't really have that Dark Age kind of aggression, right? We saw Order of the Dragon go up against the Chinese as well. So we're not probably going to see those shenanigans, I would imagine, from a Roost player. But you have the potential to get up pretty quicker. But then it's about getting your scouts out. What are you going to do after you research the technology? And that's the bread and butter that we're going to see from both of these civilizations. Game number 1 of this series between Anatan and MarineLorD on Cliffside. Anatan, color yellow, as the Chinese spawning on the western side. MarineLorD as the Rus in the pink, spawning in the eastern side of the map. Going with that 2 hunting cabin start like we usually see out of these players. And I was more like a live or die 1 hunting cabin kind of guy, but then I saw how good the second one was, and I'm like, okay, that's fine. I'll chop the wood. Leave me alone.
Remember when you were still able to chop through wood lines and you're just able to place the hunting cabin inside of a wood line? Those were the days.
Spicy. Yeah. I remember that was a fad a little bit. I can't remember. This was oh my god, this is a while ago, right? But
it was a while ago. Yeah,
having
you
that
just
ability,
double hunting cabin, and you get like 40 gold from every hunting cabin immediately per minute.
Because wasn't there also not only, I mean, with that, but didn't we have Oasis for a time, and people were chopping through to get to that dock? Was that a thing?
Yeah. That was an absolute thing. That was the whole point of Oasis, I feel like.
Yeah, we haven't seen that map much anymore, I guess for good reason, right? But
yeah, without the truck chopping, right? Like, what do you do in that map?
Or you're just sitting there beating your head against trees, you know, essentially. And then it's almost like a 20-minute treaty. It's like, okay, let's just get to the pond first, and then we'll take
extra steps.
Right. Right, and Bitterland is in chat saying that it doesn't exist. So I guess it was just
what Oasis? I've never heard about that map.
Yeah, it was just a fabrication, confabulation, whatever you want to call it. But anyway, with both of these civilizations going up to the feudal age. Anaton is going to be the first one to hit that button with the Imperial Academy, and those Chinese villagers are going to build it faster than their Rus counterparts. So not only do you get that faster age up, you also have a potential, hopefully, of getting that professional scouts a lot quicker. Now, MarineLorD, we're probably going to assume that Golden Gate is going to be made. And do you still think for the Rus with that Golden Gate, is there any potential for feudal play?
You could go for more feudal play. I think still, like, MarineLorD is very likely just going to go for that play onto Pro Scouts. We do see villagers getting split off onto wood now from him. So he will get that wood in that he's going to need for Pro Scout, because you also need a little bit of extra wood to sell with that Golden Gate.
Right. Yeah, I mean, it is a good deal. You know, you're giving them 100, you're getting back 150, but nice sheep.
Nice
18.
sheep. 18, yeah. Nice sheep.
For MarineLorD. And a little bit
Oh,
less
I love that.
for
He's
Anaton.
luring the deer in early now. That's great. That is a good play from him. Just making sure that if he goes for Pro Scout, like, these deer are going to be even closer to your base. So the pickoff is going to be nice. Also means that your opponent can't easily deny them.
And, you know, especially because on Cliffside, right, you could have a situation like we talked about in prior Cliffside spawns where the deer end up spawning in front, like near the cliff. Luckily, MarineLorD doesn't have that unfortunate spawns. They call them MarineLorD spawns for a reason, but
Yeah.
definitely having the ability to push these in and having the presence of mind. I remember seeing Anotand actually do this a couple weeks ago, don't you?
Yeah, I mean, Anaton, he's a great aficionado when it comes to deer pushing. Even I've seen him push his opponent's deer, and it's hilarious. Like, he goes through lengths in order to push him in. You wouldn't believe it. The resources are going to be coming in now. Just needs one more drop off to be able to get Pro Scouts in.
And it looks like MarineLorD did hit the button already, but again, he cannot supervise it. So as soon as Anatan actually clicks that button, you'll be able to get that done pretty quickly. But you didn't need your scouts to be professional. You didn't need to know the knot tying to harness that deer onto the scout and the horse's backside. These are amateur scouts just pushing them in.
Yeah, these are amateur scouts, as you said, going there for the push. And even if you, like, at this point in time, I think Marine just can, or at least get a couple in, so his villagers can already work on him. I don't think you need to commit all the way to it, just because it's nowadays so much easier to just kill him and click him once Pro Scout comes in, because it's automatic. You don't need to actually, like, focus on this as much.
No, and I mean, like, while Pro Scouts is getting researched, you might as well, right? I mean, obviously you can go to your own deer packs and stuff too to get that pickup pretty safely, but now he's herded just about everything in. Pro Scouts is now just getting completed, and it will get completed. Survival Techniques is very soon to follow. All of a sudden, you're thinking, okay, this is my deer game. I'm going to go get some deer, and I'm going to do whatever. No, you're not going to do that, because MarineLorD already has 7.
Both players mess up a good scouts now. MarineLorD, the first one to also mix in some spearmen. Already has the scouts out and about now. Take deer away from Anaton's pack there in the back line next to the market. That's a little bit of a trade out when it comes to the deer placements.
Yeah, and it kind of like, it gives you potential to be aggressive with it, right? Because you don't have to worry about your home deer. You don't have to worry about your villagers, you know, running out of anything. Like if they have sheep and they're just kind of sitting around, they're waiting for something to happen. Doesn't really need to do that, right? So you can go to some of those super far away deer packs and maybe steal a couple from the Chinese counterpart. He still has a safe one over there on the south side, which could prove to be useful, but Anatan's now starting to make some military units that actually do some damage. Adding a barracks, supervising that, getting a couple spearmen out just to try to stop the Rus from really running away with this thing.
Yeah, exactly. Overall, deer count, I want to say, looks semi-similar now, because Anaton very likely is still going to get the deer in the back of his base. This one should also be able to make it back alive or gets pulled on the one spearman that was out there. A couple of spearmen out there from Anaton as well. Might be able to do some damage to that scout that is trying to get away with one of the deer there.
You know, it's kind of nice with the Chinese, too. A little bit of an added bonus that we might not have thought of previously, but Anaton's still Tang Dynasty, right? So those scouts have a little bit more vision than your usual scouts. You're going to be able to see. You're not going to lose any of those ruse scouts as they're trying to get those carcasses in. So yeah, those spearmen might take the scout down.
Spearmen. Oh, they won't. There was some body blocking going on. The scout blocked the spearman. Isn't able to get the hit in. Yeah, both players now looking to go for the A jump. MarineLorD is going to be the first one to achieve that, just courtesy of that golden gate. Suddenly trades out for 450 gold. Nice trade.
Yeah, super easy, right? You get a little bit of surplus wood. You know, you just get a couple villagers trying to get that. Then all of a sudden, your high trade house starts to get in. Now, for everybody that is in chat, as the spearman goes down for Anotand, put your numbers in for the high trade house. See if you can guess that number correctly. As Anotand's going for the Imperial Palace, you don't have to guess on that number. It gives you nothing right off the bat.
118.
Okay, 118 is pretty good. I'm gonna go buck 24.
Actually, it's a pretty good position. I'm gonna go up a little bit. I'm gonna say 138.
138. Okay. I see some. There's a lot in the 130s to 140-ish that we're seeing. Some people a little bit overzealous in the 200s. I appreciate being the optimistic person in the room and the glass half full kind of stand-up guy that you are. Anotand's going to be the first one going to Castle Age and going to be starting to get some of those Lancers. Now that High Trade House is completed, but in a minute, we will be able to show you how much you actually get. MarineLorD looks like he's still going into the Spearman route.
I'm seeing Spearman for the time being, but I would imagine that those kind of get phased out for Cav Archers at some point soon. Scouts being traded out. Still has 6 scouts remaining. There is 1 archer range, and now we're actually getting crossbows in. So maybe an infantry-based army composition coming out now.
And this could even be because we know that these players know each other pretty well and have played together a decent amount. They might have practiced together in previous instances or whatever the case. So maybe this is a little bit of metagaming. You know, you're going into crossbowmen pretty much off the bat. You know that Anotand is going to be going into Lancer, so you're making that ultimate anti-Lancer composition of Spearman and Crossbowman. Now, with his ability to get that monastery, he's going to be able to get those warrior monks out and start to get some relics. Anotand's going to be soon to follow as well, and it looks like, just based on looking at the map here, this south side is going to be in contention. There's a couple relics over here.
Yeah, definitely looks like it. And we do get the confirmation, 160 gold per minute from that high trade house. Nice.
160. I'm currently scrolling through chat. I see Guts with 170. I see Masked Flames with 172. Let's see here. Brittany and Heisenberg with 150. So congratulations. You win absolutely nothing. Nobody put 160 in the chat right now. We already saw it. Don't think you're part of the game. You're not. Okay? For those people, you win absolutely nothing. Congratulations. Thank you for playing. Now, with MarineLorD coming in with these Spearmen and Crossbowmen, as Anotand, what kind of switch do you want to make?
That's the question, right? Like, your opponent's going for this infantry army composition. You could kind of mirror that also with your own Spearmen, with your own Crossbowmen. That could definitely be the option. And so far, we're just seeing a ton of Knights coming in. Knights, they're a very front-loaded unit when it comes to their stats. No bonus damage, but the base damage that they pack is quite heavy. And MarineLorD, he might be a little bit out of position here with his military. Anaton might be looking for some villager pickoffs here. Is getting 1 villager. That's going to be maybe 2, maybe 3. He's getting a nice pinch there. The villagers, they can't escape. At the same time, Anaton is under attack inside of his own base as well. He took down 6 villagers there. Very nice. A good amount of damage found. And now MarineLorD, he's behind in the economy.
Yeah, and I think with now we're seeing the +9, right, and a lot of idle time from MarineLorD as well. If Anotand does have the presence of mind of wanting to go to Song Dynasty, it's even going to get magnified even more. So MarineLorD might be starting to think about a second TC earlier than he might want to.
Looks like behind this, MarineLorD is getting the lion's share of the relics, so 2 more coming in for him. That puts him at 3. The second one for Anaton that's in his base just needs to get picked up. Anton able to defend his base now. Ooh, does lose his knights, so these are heavy losses, but he is now transitioning into his own crossbow play. We're still in Tang Dynasty, no Song Dynasty switch up yet. Has the resource for it, though.
I was going to say, he has the ability. He's got the resources for sure. And now we're getting to this point of the game, probably in the next few minutes or so, where these deer are going to start to run out. We saw China do this before, right? You're trying to get this, you know, you get the professional scouts, you get all the deer, that's fantastic. And then in a couple minutes, that's going to start running out. And then you go on berries, which you don't really want to do, right? You got to do some kind of granary transition. MarineLorD might not be doing that just because of the high trade house that's continuing to get deer for you. So MarineLorD might be trying to tread the water, push the issue a little bit. And it looks like he's going to.
Seeing veterancy come in for the archers at the moment for Anaton, so maybe an archer switch up now. Actually, MarineLorD using those scouts as a very nice meat shield here at the front side. Has a lot of them remaining, right? And they do have a good amount of HP.
Yeah, you remember those age-old, I'll call them Season 0 Roost plays where you went with the Golden Gate and the Abbey of the Trinity, and then those scouts ended up being your meat shield? Because I think at the time, those scouts did 4 damage, didn't they?
Yeah, they did a lot more damage. You were able to animation cancel with them as well. It was toxic. It was kind of toxic.
Yeah.
You could take down a dock in like 30 seconds with one scout by just animation canceling the torches.
Unbelievable. Yeah, and you even saw them because of the 4 damage, you would even see them take down villagers in Dark Age, and you're like, okay, that's quite enough. We can't be doing this anymore. So, not going to be the case. Obviously, he's not going to be using that scout as a front line. Could be adding some men-at-arms here instead. What do you think about the change?
Men-at-arms makes a lot of sense. He kind of baited his opponent into the archer play now. Archers and horsemen don't do too well up against the men-at-arms. There's a little bit of a timing, though, that's going to be needed for the switch-up, but he's already got a lot of them out there. He actually switched out, or rather traded out for some wood, so I think he used that in order to get some more production buildings out online. Now we can see the spearmen and the scouts at the front line. And the archers, they don't do any bonus damage to the scouts, so he has to be careful with which units he actually wants to target here.
Yeah, and also, I mean, a little bit of that range defense coming from Saint's Blessing. Anatand's horsemen went right onto those spearmen. You saw a decent amount of cavalry hit the deck, all at the same time of while he's doing this. Now, think about this for a second now. MarineLorD is able to keep up this military production timing with the Golden Gate, now has a second TC on the north side of his base. So if he's able to hold and he's able to hang out just for a little bit longer, I think he's got a good army composition for him to do that. This is looking very favorable for the Frenchman.
Yeah, we don't see any stirrups on these horsemen at the moment from Anaton. Looks like he hasn't upgraded them yet. We do have that second TC, as mentioned, from MarineLorD, so economy scaling, MarineLorD is looking good, and Anaton just isn't quite able to take the kind of efficient fights that he wants to at the moment.
Yeah, and then this hit with the food is going to start coming in. Now, Anotand using good presence of mind, obviously, with that little bit of map control on his side of the map. He's going to be trying to get that boar, and we'll be able to do so successfully. So that'll help him out just a little bit. But again, that looming threat of getting those granaries. Is he going to be able to do that? MarineLorD with that wood economy for the roost, getting that little bit of extra is so great, because you're just going to be able to trickle in farms as you go.
That's right. We are seeing feudal age upgrades now coming in for those horsemen, so veterancy will be on the menu here soon. Still looking at MarineLorD's army, like he's up to 12 men-at-arms. There's no direct counter out yet. Look, he's going for his own archers with the additional wood income that he gets. He's already outproduced Anaton. This is a dangerous game that Anaton's playing right now, and he's out at the front with his units. He might not have enough here. There aren't too many spearmen remaining. Anaton, he's gonna need to focus them down, but it's kind of difficult. Veterancy isn't in yet on the horseman. Before it's in, he loses all of his numbers.
Oh my! And if you think horsemen are flimsy when they're at the right age, you put them an age behind, right? And then all of a sudden, they completely fall flat. Archers are going to be able to pick off a lot of the units that Anotand has in terms of range mass. Now it's 50 to 14, 51 to 14 in terms of military, and MarineLorD has that extra town center.
I think Anotand, he tried to push the issue a little bit too much there into his opponent's base. Could have gone for the macro play on his own side. Instead, MarineLorD with that second TC, he's going to feel very fine now. Military advantage on his side now as well. Get some idle time on the gold villagers. Small raids coming in, but with the 2TC, it's just not going to be enough. And Anotand, he realizes that's going to be
he don't want that smoke.
Yeah, that's not a position that you can realistically come back from after losing your military like that. He knows about the second TC as well, so he knows that MarineLorD does have that lead in the economy. And look at that, like that military value lead there at the end, that just kind of shows you how the situation goes at the game. There was a great raid at the beginning there from Anotand, getting a lot of villagers. Just a follow-up, not clean enough when you're up against the best of the best, like MarineLorD.
Yeah, I agree. I mean, he definitely gave himself an advantage with that raid. I think afterward, though, after that raid concluded, we didn't really see much in terms of raiding. I mean, maybe he was attempting to and MarineLorD was thwarting them, but I don't remember any catastrophic villager losses coming out from the other side, and MarineLorD was continuously able to hammer Anatand's front gold over there on the eastern side of his base. So MarineLorD dissecting, understanding that matchup and figuring out when that Chinese weak point is and taking that game number one. Let's take a look at some of the replays. You can see, obviously, the remnants of professional scout fights with all of these scouts trying to come in. There's that cheeky raid that we have, a little bit of a pathing discrepancy because they can't get out of the way from those lancers and from that lumber camp. So those villagers ended up going down. And look at that spot right there. Like, China still has that 10+ villager lead. Do you think it's just the Ruse passive income? Do you think that's it?
I think, yeah, for one, like the passive income definitely makes a big difference there. Not that China doesn't have their own ways to scale their economy. I think for the most part, it's just the army composition that was out there. The horsemen just really didn't accomplish that much. I think maybe palace guards could have also just worked kind of great there as a front line, because if you put up palace guards next to horsemen, they're still gonna survive a good bit longer. Like, horsemen just feel so flimsy up against those spearmen.
Yeah, I mean, especially now, don't get me wrong, they were in feudal age, right? Just saw some of them try to get a flank. And regardless, though, I definitely agree. Feudal age or castle age, I think he ran into some significant snags, right? So game one goes into MarineLorD's pocket. You can see the graph here one final time, and now it's gone. You can't see it anymore. I hope you can read quick. Okay. Now 1 minute left going into this game number 2. MarineLorD does have the momentum, does have the advantage. We're on Kurlager, and it is Ayubids and Mongols. First Mongol sighting today. How about that?
Yeah, we're getting Mongols in and on Kurlager, so that's a pretty interesting map. Mongols, I feel like. No, for one, you got like all these little pocket economies that you can have with the couple of shoreline fish that are out there on the rivers, and you can defend them relatively easily as well. If you get the Uvu in, you can get a naval emplacement in. You can also get Mangadai in. Just take map control overall. It's actually a really great map for a map for Mangadai. It's a really great one. You got so many different avenues to raid from. Your units can walk on the water. Yeah, I think this is a good one for the Mangadai. Issue is, like, I'm not sure how exactly they trade out against desert raiders due to the camel unease. I want to say that Mangadai should still trade out nicely against them just because their attack speed is kind of absurd.
Yeah, and without that desert raider range armor, could prove to be difficult for them. We're diving in. Get your water wingings, chat. We got a little bit of river diving as MarineLorD playing as the Ayubids in the Color Peak, spawning in the northwestern side, getting his docks up. Anatan as the Mongols in the color yellow. It doesn't look like, from my understanding. I'm not looking to see a dock, but yeah, you're exactly right. This Mongolian spawn, top notch.
There's no immediate dock because Anaton, he is going for that. That's a little bit early for the sheep. I guess does this map even have a lot of sheep?
Oh, man.
Oh, yeah, we are getting that dock in. It was just the Uvu did open up here. So we're not seeing that immediate dock play coming in. It's going to be on a little bit of a delay. That's fine for Anaton.
Man, that con is annoying, isn't it? Just peppering that village. It's not going to take the villager down. You know, it only does 2 damage. But, man, hearing that attack notification over and over again because of that con is just very annoying. But now, with that con, you're going to be able to see, obviously, because of where these docks are, you're obviously going to see some contention as MarineLorD is pushing some of his deer, I should say, into that starting town center. Mongols versus Ayyubids here in this spot with the docks that close. What are you thinking? What do you think is going to happen?
I mean, nothing for the foreseeable future within the next couple of moments. Oh, look at this. Okay, we can tell MarineLorD, he's gonna go for the advancement wing. 3 villager drop off. Wait, does he have enough gold? It's 30 gold, isn't it?
I think it's 120.
Was it 120? I'm not 100% sure. I thought it was like 30 gold. 125. Okay, so it's just enough.
Oh, we were both wrong. Okay, let's compromise. 120.
I remember you got to pull like 3 villagers in order to get in 1 drop off. So yeah, 125 gold. So he's gonna get a really, really quick age up timing in here. Means that he will have the lead on water. So Anaton, he can't really afford making more than 3 fishing ships, because then he won't be able to garrison them.
And I'll tell you, like, on a map like this where you have a shared body of water, I'm definitely seeing how important it is to do something like the advancement wing, right? Just getting to feudal age first. Just getting your navy ships, making sure you can do some damage. It's really good. You know? I mean, if you're the Mongols and you can't get to feudal age in time, and then all of a sudden you're facing anything like demo ships and sprinkled ships, and you're trying to continuously play catch-up, you're in trouble.
Anotand, he's prioritizing water, though, so the deer stones follow up. It's quite quick. It's quite quick, so he's going to be able to get a good timing in on the naval emplacement if he goes for it. Issue with naval emplacement is that with the position of the dock, he could always take it down with demo ships. Just with demo ships as well.
Is he? I don't think he's. Is he going in placement? He's not researching that.
I mean, he can't research it yet. Feudal age.
No.
Placement?
No, I'm sorry. The culture wing, the advancement wing. He's not going for it.
Wait. Yeah, he
At
is.
225, 125.
Wait. Huh?
He didn't click it.
Wait, what's going on? Huh?
He
I'm
didn't click it.
confused.
Don't. Oh, Beastie, don't Tim Keck W me. I counted that out. He didn't click it. He did not click the advancement wing. That's why I short-circuited. Okay? We didn't see it.
Oh my god, the interface.
We didn't see it. We got bamboozled. All of us.
I'm confused now what's going on. I'm confused with what's going on here. Wait. What?
Okay,
Something's
apparently
going on.
people are telling me if I see one more Tim Keck W, I swear. This is, oh my god, I've never had this kind of chaos in an EGC stream. Apparently, what we're seeing is MarineLorD is in feudal age. Is that correct, Cal? Can somebody... Okay. Okay, so he's in feudal, but we can't see that.
It's a little bit of a desync that's going on right now. That's the first time I've seen something like this happen. This is a very weird kind of desync. Because I've never seen it happen, actually, in a recorded game, that a player is in feudal age, yet gets shown as dark age.
Okay, well, now what do we do?
Well, we just continue casting, I guess.
Okay. I mean, you know,
Sure.
we got, yeah, I'm a little taken aback by this. I'm
I'm
gonna be honest with you.
confused why MarineLorD is banking up so much wood. Maybe this is like the play into like fast castle into Tower of the Sultan.
Okay.
That could be a play,
sure.
right?
Sure. People in chat are asking which wing did he choose. We don't know.
Wait, there
We
it
have
is!
No, oh, there's a culture
It came
wing.
in.
Never mind.
It fixed.
It's it's here. Sick. Okay.
We're
Never
back.
mind. Okay. Now Cal has taken over the observation, so we are diving in. This is regularly live and scheduled. Nothing happens between the first 5 or 6 minutes.
Yeah, no, it was more desync than just the age up. It was also desync with the units that are out there, apparently.
Yeah. Yeah.
That's actually crazy. I've never seen that happen again. Oh,
and now nobody's moving. Oh, it's paused. No, I'm kidding.
Oh, that's crazy. That's crazy. Okay, that's one of the. That's the first time I've seen that one. You know, Age of Empires. It's a game in active development. Things are happening, right? Like we're getting fixes. There we go. We're hitting the fast forward button. Dog is getting taken down. We do actually have the Mangudai come in up against the Desert Raiders. Looks like the Desert Raiders do have some additional range on them. They're also a little bit faster. So Mangudai, they are going to need some additional mass here if they want to take on the Desert Raiders.
Yeah, absolutely. And I see what Anaton is going for also with the Keshik. He's starting to add a little bit of Keshik. Against Desert Raider, I don't know if I like the look of that, Crackety.
Yeah, I mean, now that they got the Khan Hunter there. Wait, is that a Khan Hunter? Yeah, that is a Khan Hunter, right? Yeah, he's got a Dark Vest on. So we do have a Khan Hunter in there. Now they actually got the same range, or should have very similar range. The issue is still that they're getting a big debuff on their attack damage. So even though the Desert Raider doesn't have any ranged armor, the Mangudai aren't doing that great against them yet.
Well, I'll tell you what, Crackety, especially because there's only 1 or 2 of them, right? I mean, yeah, the unease is going to do something, right? And as soon as those Keshiks actually come in, look at how quickly they get absolutely shredded. They're getting ridiculously shredded as we go into regular mode and caster mode. I'm thrown for a loop with with this stuff. All right, now super quick. Desert Raider's going to take that okay. And take down Mangudai 1v. Somebody on God's green earth, somebody help me.
Oh man, yeah, I think somebody's going on with the replay file here in the back behind this. We're getting some strange phenomena here. Nonetheless, at the moment, there we go. Sounds back now as well. Tim Keck W. We're just getting more and more Desert Raiders out. Anaton, he's starting to scale into more and more Mangudai. At one point, there's going to be enough Mangudai to finally start doing critical damage up against the Desert Raiders.
Yeah, I feel like if you have a decent mass of them, right? Plus with the Khan, you could use the Khan Hunter as well. And then the Khan is going to be able to use their arrow just to make sure those Mangudai move a little bit faster. Desert Raiders don't usually end up catching up to you. These Mangudai, and you hit it right on the head when we talked about the start of this one, right? The amount of Mangudai that are going to be used on Kurlager because you have to have so many points of interest. It's so important.
Yeah, and Anaton, he's doing a good job of just annoying MarineLorD's military here, making sure that they're occupied at all times. Oh, he has to be careful because now we're getting military ships on both ponds. Means MarineLorD, he's trying to shut those raids down on the side. He's trying to shut down the angles from which Anaton can harass him.
Yeah, and I like this idea because on a map like this, on a map like Kurlager, it's going to be difficult to wall. And you can see, you have a couple of these wood lines that you might be able to put a wall in, maybe through the backside, but it's not like you can completely surround your base without the cost of an extensive amount of wood that you'd rather be using somewhere else.
Hawk is in for Anaton, is now getting the emplacement on as well, so does have a good bastion there, is going to have a good amount of income through there as well. Yeah, that emplacement means that MarineLorD, he can't really push too deep in on this side. We do actually get the Deer Stones now moving forward as well. So suddenly all these Mangudais, they're going to have the movement speed advantage coming in as well. Looks like the attack speed arrow is coming in as well. It's very careful because once again, these scouts, they can be quite the formidable meat shield in these situations.
Yeah, I mean, just with how many Desert Raiders that are here, it looks like those Mangudai actually trying to find those villagers more than anything else. They might not think they could take that straight fight, and I have a harboring to agree with them because of how many Desert Raiders are there. And MarineLorD, he's really doubling down on them. If he's seeing only Mangudai, he's confident in his Desert Raider choice.
Yeah, I mean, it makes sense and it's working. They lose out on so much damage, and the Mangudai, they just can't get their damage out enough in time. Ooh, it looks like one Mangudai there was a little bit unsure where to go. He's going to pay for it with his life. Now with there, like Anotand, he's boxed in that on that side now. Like one villager did get taken down, but now Desert Raider's in. It's just mass Desert Raider here. It's something that Anaton can really deal with at the moment. He's in trouble.
And you know, MarineLorD's micro with all of these groups of Desert Raiders, it looks bar none, doesn't it? I mean, he's using the Desert Raiders to try to cut off the Mangudai, and this is like the cat and mouse game that you kind of need to do when you are playing against Mangudai. So obviously Camelinese is helping out, the range on those Desert Raiders helping out, and the rivers on Kurlager, because he has those boats there, Crackety, it means he doesn't have free reign. So he's got to pick all of these weird corners, all these weird angles, and then Mangudai start getting picked off.
Yeah, MarineLorD pulling ahead in the economy department as well. Looks like he's got a good lead when it comes to the fishing ships on water. Baron now coming in for Anaton. Is moving here in the mid. Needs to get that food and come in order to just keep up with the Mangudai production here. It's going to be difficult because now it's kind of like an exposed spot out on the map there. That's a lot of villagers that are going to have to get pulled. Oh, this is going to hurt. This hurts so much. More Mangudai going down. Run to the outpost.
And that's the thing about Mangudai, like,
to kite him out.
Well, that's the thing about Mangudai, Crackety, is like, you don't want to sit and take fights with them, right? You want to be running around. You want to be trying to kill villagers, all that kind of stuff. If you're using the Desert Raiders and you're taking down Mongolian villagers, they have to come back to defend, and they don't want to do that.
So I think maybe if Anaton just got like a couple of horsemen out as well, because then he forces the Desert Raiders into melee mode to beat the horsemen, and then they can't focus on the Mangudai at the same time, or at least not as many.
You know, that's what I kind of expected Anotand was trying to do anyway with the Keshik, because he got a couple Keshiks in there. It just so happens that, you know, the Keshiks don't do the bonus damage, and they get hit by all of the melee armor that the Desert Raiders have. So maybe if he went horseman, it would have been a better idea, but you're exactly right. Like, making those Desert Raiders, make sure they're not targeting the Mangudai. Without a front line, you cannot sit and take a fight.
Yeah. Once again, those Desert Raiders, they know where the economy is from Anotand, out on the map. That's going to be another 2, make it 3. Up to 4 now. 4 additional villager kills, and he's got enough Desert Raiders, so he's just going to burn it down.
Wow. And that's, I mean, that's the best part, the versatility of the Desert Raider. It's such a weird unit because you can shoot you at a distance with a decent amount of damage. It can take down outposts like that, and you're thinking, well, it's kind of like a horse archer, right? Not so much. Now he's got Desert Raiders at home that might be able to help a MarineLorD. He's got to get those villagers the hell out of there.
Yeah, but the early movement from the villagers, the pre-move, means that he's not going to lose any villagers. At least none from the looks of it. Meanwhile, Anotand, he's down 11 villagers.
Yeah. Yeah, right now, Economic County's sitting on 43. He's trying to do something with more of these Mangudai while Anaton is going up with the step readout. MarineLorD will be soon to follow, but again, for the Iubids, like the Abbasid, it's 1:45 seconds. We're not going to see it. We're moving on. Game number 2, going to MarineLorD.
So now MarineLorD leading 2-0. Anotand. This is going to be a rough one for him if he wants to get back in this set. 2 games now that he has lost early on. Question is, what does he have planned for the next one? This one was just very cleanly played by MarineLorD.
Yeah, I think so too. I would assume, based on not from what we saw, but from what had happened, that MarineLorD did get to feudal age first with that emplacement. Or with the culture wing, I should say. And then he was able to take down the dock of Mongols on the other side. What do you think about, now, with Anotand in that situation, the Mongols usually love that kind of stuff because they get a barracks, they get 2-time spearmen, and they could take a dock down.
Yeah, I mean, taking the dock down... I'm not sure about the timing here in this one because we did get that advancement wing in, right, from MarineLorD. So I feel like by the time the spearmen would have really dealt enough damage there, we would have probably already had either like a demo ship or an archer ship out that would have been able to deal with like the early spearmen that could be coming in.
Yeah, I get that, just because the advancement wing is as quick as it is. So I could definitely see that point. It's just a bunch of desert raiders. That's what these
It's so
replays
petty,
are.
yeah.
It's a bunch of desert raiders killing Mongolian peasants. And I don't have anything else to say about that, honestly.
I mean, Desert Raider is a pretty good unit. They scale fantastically into the later stages of the game. Similar to Mangudai, it's just that the Mangudai, they need more upgrades. And they kind of need to not get debuffed as well. Like, they have amazing attack speed. The issue is that their attack damage is low, and if you take an additional 20% off of that, you're getting to the point where they just feel very underwhelming.
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, Mangudai are, that's the thing though, like they're kind of an expensive unit. You know, I mean, I get it with Mongols, you're making some 2 at a times every once in a while, right? But still, you need a decent amount of resources to do that at a time where you didn't have that dock on the western side. That one ended up going down. So I don't know. Anaton was kind of fighting uphill, especially against those desert raiders. Taking a look at this game number 3. However, we are on 4 lakes, and MarineLorD is going for the hometown pick. He's picking the French on this one. What are you thinking?
Yeah, it's interesting, right? Like, this is the second time now today that we're seeing French being picked on a hybrid map, and overall, we've seen it a couple more times come in. It is a very minute buff that they received. It's that they get an additional 10 population space now when they build a dock, so they save like 50 wood for a house. Suddenly, we see French a lot more often on water. It's an interesting situation now for French, like having them more like being perceived as a viable civilization on hybrid maps. I think it's very interesting because that also, like, just we're having a relatively small civilization pool that is viable on hybrid and on water maps. And if you suddenly expand that civilization pool, like French and Jean suddenly get 2 more civilizations in, you suddenly open up a lot more potential matchups. We're going to be seeing French up against Japan here now in 4 lakes. Japan, one of those civilizations that is just like firmly cemented as like one of, if not the best hybrid civ.
Oh yeah, I mean, honestly, anytime I see 4 length in the ranked ladder pool, I'm picking Japan just about every time. But for the French on 4 lakes, it was actually something that I don't know if you did when that buff came out, but I kind of experimented with it just because I was thinking that dock is going to give me tempo. Maybe I can get to feudal age and do some feudal age stuff with some knights. We might not even think about castle age. You know, I'm just trying some different things, and to me, it didn't feel like it translated, number 1. And number 2, most of the civilizations that you're seeing on 4 lakes, the French aren't really that great against. Like, do you want to face an Abbasid or Ayyubids as French? Not really.
It could be worse. Could be worse. I mean, up against Japan, I've managed to lose games as Japan against French. I think there's definitely potential there, just with the Arbaletria themselves. Like, if you get a big mass of Arbaletria in, Japan feels like a very much discounted civilization. Suddenly, your men-at-arms don't do well, your horsemen don't do as well, your knights don't do as well, your Onabigatius, forget about them. They don't do well at all. They don't do any damage. Spearmen, nope. You suddenly rely on siege, you rely on Yumi archers, you rely on Amushas, which also don't trade out favorably against Pavisa. It's a rough situation to be in. Getting there is the issue. Like, you need to actually practice French for that. You need to know how you transition correctly, what units to make, how to get yourself set up in a position from where on out you can spam those units, take those favorable engagements. We're about to see if MarineLorD can do that, because he certainly does know a lot about French. It's time for us to jump into game number 3. Up here between MarineLorD and Anton. MarineLorD, he's got a nice lead at the moment when it comes to the scoreboard. 2-0 leading against Anaton at the moment. Anaton here in the color yellow, playing as the Japanese. MarineLorD as the French on 4 lakes.
Yeah, he's going to be, now again, with these docks as the French that we described, you can get 10 population space for every dock that you build, so it means you don't have to make the house. Japanese on the other side have their own bit of tempo, as we saw this matchup on Lakeside also in our prior series. Japan with those fishing boats a little bit cheaper, so it ends up paying off and getting to that feudal age. Now, we did see Japan previously in the last one with the Cura storehouse just because of Lakeside being a little bit wonky in terms of taking docks down, all that kind of stuff. This one, not so much. I'm fully expecting a Coca.
Yeah, I mean, on this map especially, on Lakeside it doesn't make sense really to go Coca because you can't realistically reach your opponent's resources. You gotta go a long route in order to get to the dock. The gold is in range of the TC, the woodline's in range of TC. The Shinobi overall can't really achieve much here. On this map, however, you can very straightforward move over towards your opponent's docks. You can also harass the gold, and you just have a lot more options on this map with the Shinobi play.
And, you know, with that same argument, Crackety, that's why I would think the French would be good, right? Because then you can get knights and you can raid all of these areas and you can start taking down docks and all of that. But these Shinobi, the ability to sabotage, and with those Shinobi, they hit hard.
Nice sheep.
Nice sheep.
Nice sheep.
With, oh, I timed that. Nice. So, with some of these sheep, obviously they're going to be a secondary resource because of all the water that we have, but it still could be beneficial to scoop yourself up some. So with those Shinobi, as I was previously saying, you get a couple of those on a knight, that knight gets evaporated.
Yeah, just that bonus up against like melee units. I mean, so Shinobi, there's just so much damage coming out from them up against anything melee. So realistically, you are gonna need range units against them. Now the French, they're no strangers to bow and arrow. They don't mind investing into that. But it is still an investment. You gotta get the archer range in. That's 150 wood. You're not immediately benefiting from your landmark, which is a stable. So it's a whole thing, Tim. It's a whole thing.
It's just a mess, dude. It's just an absolute mess. MarineLorD also, as we're looking at the differences in the feudal age timing, right? You're seeing MarineLorD just
now going out to gold.
Right. And Anotand, he's already there, almost. So just having that ability to get the feudal age first, and you know how important that is, especially on a hybrid map. We just saw it the last game. Being able to go feudal age first means you can set the tone on water or translate some land presence to water, and Anotand looks like he will be doing that, hopefully with that Coca, and that is down.
Coca coming in for Anaton. Yeah, I'm very surprised. So MarineLorD, he is actually going for a second dock on another pond here before aging up. And we can look at the result here, right? Like, he's taking a while to age up.
Yeah, he definitely is. I mean, he's going to be pretty far behind, depending on how many villagers he actually puts in the School of Cavalry, right? So if we saw a previous one, right, of, you know, 8 or 9 villagers building a School of Cavalry, yeah, you might go up relatively quickly, but not really sure that's going to be the case now for Anotand, just because he has a little bit of this free time, right? He's going to continue to make fishing boats and that kind of stuff. Do we see him just make a couple Shinobi and say, whatever, just bypass?
Yeah, I mean, makes sense, right? Like, you're gonna need a second dock one way or the other up against the Shinobi play. The issue that I still see here, like, if you're only one dock on each pond, one of the ponds might just get a knight. Oh, we're seeing double outposts coming in on Anaton's gold. That's... I mean, he's been busy chasing after MarineLorD Scout here, which means that he doesn't actually have too much vision about what MarineLorD's doing behind this, because he's chasing the scout. He's not actually scouting himself. He doesn't know that the age up from MarineLorD is just insanely delayed, and that he's only trying to, like, catch up by having 8 villagers on the age up.
Yeah, and he's still, I mean, like, he's going to get there at a relatively reasonable time, I should say. But again, this is 8 villagers that you would rather have them getting resources, right? Instead of building this landmark. He will be able to get that knight, though, if he first gets that School of Cavalry completed. And he just clicks that button. Shinobi's going to be coming out from Anotand. But look at his resource management, Crackety. He's already got about 400 food stored.
Yeah, so he is just gonna go for that straight castle age play here on his side. Shinobi out, doesn't invest into any additional Shinobi. He's just gonna get arrow slits and placements. He's got a lot of sheep, nice sheep, so he can definitely afford it.
Oh, yeah. No,
I like that
absolutely.
villager pull as well. MarineLorD, he's always so good when it comes to, like, these early villager pulls. See how he pulled that villager away from that dock position because he knows, okay, there's a shinobi about to arrive. I'm just gonna run. Okay, he's. Never mind, they're still exposed.
Well, no, I mean, like on that south dock, absolutely, right? Because at least here, you might be able to get away, right? That you might be able to get in town center range. That one by the dock, definitely not, right? So Anotand does see that dock on the southern side.
There we
Looks
go.
like he's going to look for a different target. Those villagers are going to be moving out of the way. So no nice ninja kills from Anotand, and that knight's going to try to take that ninja down.
Ooh, the ninja has a lot of line of sight, though. These shinobi, they have almost as much line of sight as a scout. Like, look at how far this guy sees. He sees it all.
And, you know, ninjas, and based on the picture of the actual, of the actual unit, it looks like they have a mask on. So the fact they can see that far is shocking.
We're now seeing horsemen coming in as well from MarineLorD. I'm a little bit befuddled. What's the play here? He is getting in a lot of economy upgrades behind as well, so he is actively spending his gold, but Floating Gate is on its way for Anaton. Stable already getting put up as well. And MarineLorD, he's not really anywhere close to starting to put pressure on his opponent.
No, he definitely isn't. And I mean, that's the... Whoop! You might have blinked. You missed it. That shinobi just went back into the stealth forest, and that knight and that horseman have no idea where that shinobi is, so he will be returning home. That's the only one that Anotand made, number one. Number two, it was free. So this is essentially a quote-unquote naked fast castle with just that shinobi. So now he has enough resources, especially with the boats, right? Especially with some of the gold and the 2 towers on it. I don't think there was any possible way for MarineLorD to muster up enough offense to stop this from happening.
The shinobi does get the blink in, but actually just ends up dying in the stealth forest, unfortunately. Now, Age Up is gonna complete. MarineLorD, he's got a nice economic lead behind this and isn't actually too far away from his own Age Up behind it all. Just thanks to the amount of bonus fishing ships that he got in from the second pond.
Yeah, and I mean, you can see that just based on food per minute, right? I mean, MarineLorD did have a couple villagers onto a deer carcass and stuff like that a little bit, so maybe he had some extra
Ooh, we're getting a
villagers
guild hall
on food, but yeah. What do you think about this instead of the Royal Institute? Because we've been seeing more Royal Institute out of the French.
I'll say we'll need some archer ranges in that case then.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I'm thinking so too. I don't think just those regular veteran Royal Knights are going to go toe-to-toe against a mounted samurai. Anotand already trying to pick up these relics, one on the south side. Horseman's going to have something to say about it, but hopefully Anotand does have a mounted samurai in here to help. Now he's got about 3, another 2 in the queue. They get pumped out so quick because of that Yoroshiru.
Yeah, Uma Bannerman helping out as well, provides that nice damage aura. Now MarineLorD, he does have that Age Up in. Shinto Priest gets taken down, but Relic pretty much secured, and there's going to be more Shinto Priests coming in for free.
Yeah, we'll see another one very soon, I would imagine, as the second Yoroshiru gets dropped. And my question for you, Crackety, as somebody who probably plays just about every civilization, that second Yoroshiru, where do you put it usually?
Either another production building, or you just put it in the forge. Get some additional gold in. Situationally, you could also put it inside of a farmhouse, get some food in. But that's only in like certain situations when you really need that little bit of food trickle. First crossbowman is out. But MarineLorD looks like he's got a good enough front line here in order to hold. Needs to be careful though with his gold. Anotand, he's splitting off the units. At least one of the knights is getting split off there.
I don't see from MarineLorD, I don't think we have a veteran knight technology or a veteran horseman technology. He might not be going so far. Oh, I was going to say he's not going so far into knights, but there's a couple more stables. And we see more horsemen.
Oh, knight does get pinched. Up against the wood line. Ooh, that hurts, losing that one there. He is trying to build up his numbers, but there's already so many arballetry in queue. And MarineLorD, he's pumping them out non-stop now.
Yeah, I mean, he must know that this is the unit, right? Getting those arballetry out there. He's got 6 in queue and already 6 on the battlefield. He is making a transition. He's going away from those knights that you usually see out of the French, and he's going to be starting to go with horsemen. He's thinking the crossbowmen will take him out, and if there's Onimusha in the back end, the horsemen are going to have something to say about it with the mobility. I like this change a lot.
Yeah, definitely makes sense. So it's a similar-ish army composition here from the two. Oh, MarineLorD, he does see the relic being picked up. Wallow. Not gonna be in time. Oh, Arbaletiate. They might be a little bit left alone there. Samurai going for the dive. 3 already down. He's going for the villagers now instead. How many is he gonna get? 1 go down, 2 go down. Lost a lot of the mounted samurai as well.
And I think Anatan's been being surprisingly effective at creating some of that idle time, right? That gold mine that's relatively forward. I kind of thought the French would be maintaining that map control, but just because Japan getting that floating gate quicker, getting that castle age quicker, it means he's going to be able to use those mounted samurai and take fights in the middle of the map. And his gold, his idle time, or lack thereof, relatively untouched.
Yeah, still feels really hard for him to really take any fights at the moment. We are now seeing a movement out onto water as well. Anaton did place a dock on one of MarineLorD's ponds. Immediately see the reaction with some ships being queued from MarineLorD's side. But Anaton isn't really putting anything in production on that dock at the moment. So for the moment, it's actually only an investment, like a major reaction from MarineLorD.
Yeah, that's kind of nice that MarineLorD did see it. And a lot of times with those fishing boats, that's why you're spreading those out, right? The fishing boats have a decent amount of vision, so you're going to be able to see if that dock is getting built by a villager. You might not be able to do something about it immediately, but at least you can react to it quite quickly, and that's exactly what's happening. Anatan is going to be losing that dock. Does MarineLorD start to get cheeky on the Anatan sides of the pond now?
No move out yet so far. Anaton goes for another raid there on the side. Has a couple more Namushas now, some more horsemen out there as well. But MarineLorD, he's just got such a big mass of arbaletier now at this point in time. It's kind of crazy. A move out just when MarineLorD want to move out to the next gold. But he's going to have to pull his units back there. Villagers aren't going to be able to go for that next gold mine.
No, he's going to have to wait or try to take care of some of this mass. It's really interesting based on how Four Lakes spawns, is a lot of those golds end up being on the shores, right? So hopefully you have control of that pond, and if you don't, you might be struggling. You might be going out in the middle of the map for that gold. But that western one is now safe for him, and Anatan starting to get fishing boats on that eastern pond as well. So doing his best to even that eco count out.
Yeah, Anotand, he's on a little bit of a clock though, because behind all of this, there's also still the threat of MarineLorD just at one point cashing out that guild hall and going for an Imperial Age. Worst case on one of the large gold veins with access to the sacred side as well.
Which is wild. I mean, with the land actual spawn, the land spawning of Four Lakes, there's not a lot of land here. So getting a red palace could definitely set the tone for you. Looking like MarineLorD wants to take this engagement against Anatan. Some Onimusha there that horsemen are going to be able to get some bonus damage for. And those Arbaletier, man, he's got some rather impressive numbers.
Yeah, that's a ton of them. And that's like a big issue at the moment for the Japanese. Because what unit do you realistically make against this? You got to make your own horsemen in order to get bonus damage up against them. That doesn't feel that great either, though, because they're not going to do that much damage due to the Gambeson upgrade. Your Onimusha are very expensive, so it's tough to mass them up, and MarineLorD, he can just pump his own horsemen as a meat shield. Now a small little raid coming in again. Just a knight, 2 horsemen there as well. These Arbaletier, they kill so quickly.
Oh, yeah. It's even against those mounted samurai, like, the first shot doesn't count, but it's still rather effective. And Anatan is, again, getting idled over there on that gold mine on the eastern side. Luckily, he has a decent amount of stockpile, so he can still produce what he wants to. But this is proving to be rather bothersome, rather tiresome for him to deal with. As MarineLorD is gaining the map control, Crackety, 2 sacred sites going to be taken down for the French side.
Yeah, and Anotand, he's got relics inside of his base, but he hasn't actually built a monastery yet to put the relics in. That's some resource that he's missing out on at the moment. Now more on Amusha coming in, but MarineLorD, he's just making the switch over to Spearman now. With Spearman, he's got the counter to everything that Anaton wants to make now.
Yeah, and I mean, there's no reason not to, right? We're seeing those Onimusha don't do the bonus damage against Spearman, and I mean, yeah, technically you can kite them, but when you're in that big engagement like that, are you really going to be able to do that? The answer is probably not so much, and Gambison is going to be coming in for those Arbaletrier as well, so getting that big... Yeah, but I think, you know, after that does come in, he might be trying to take an engagement more than he wants to. And does get in the melee armor upgrade as well. I think he's expecting, just because of Japan, that's the right way to do it. Big flank over here, Crackety on the eastern side. Arbaletre finding some mounted samurai to take down. I think he's going to try to group those horsemen back up. MarineLorD's got to group up.
Anotand, he doesn't have enough units here overall. Not as many as his opponent at the very least. Anamusha trying their best, but oh my god, there's a keep up as well. Yeah, the army is shrinking rapidly now from Anaton. The Anamusha getting focused down by the Arbaletre in the backside, will have to pull back. And overall, this army trade was not enough, and Anaton realizes the position that he's in. GG comes in.
Wow. And you know, that last fight, it almost looked like for the first 2 or 3 seconds of it, MarineLorD got caught with his pants down, right? Because of the trees in between the horsemen and the Arbaletrier, but he was able to get everybody back together right behind that wood line with the keep right in front of it, taking that engagement right when he was supposed to, and you're seeing the effect as you see the graphs on your screen. How much a second dock is actually very good for you. You can see MarineLorD with an extra 3,000, almost 3,000 food.
Oh man, yeah, I mean, credit where credit is due, right? Like, MarineLorD, he's so good at this, like, just being able to judge the situation of the game, knowing that he can go for that greedy double dock play, gets his own castle age in, just invests the minimum amount necessary into some units to deny map control, or just to make sure that the units from Anaton aren't just going to immediately dive his own base, and it just all accumulates to the point where we talked about it. He did manage to get to that spot where he's able to just pump out Arbaletrier, and with that, it's just this one unit that French doesn't have a good answer to. Like, realistically, Anotand would need to go into mass spearmen and mangonels against that, which is not necessarily like the kind of army composition that is the most comfortable for the Japanese. I think maybe you might even need to go a little bit further and just go up to Imperial Age and try to take this in the late game with hand cannoneers or Zutsu maybe even.
Yeah, because I mean, you're talking about those Arbaletrier getting Gambesons, that's +5. They could put their Pavie Shield, that's +5. But you're exactly right. Once you get to Imperial, the hand cannoneer could shoot right through that Pavis. And that 5 doesn't really end up making much of anything, right? So that could definitely have been a play for him. But MarineLorD is going to be settling in on match point with a 3-0 lead against Anotand. And this is a matchup that we saw actually in the previous series. Our first game casted today, Crackety. It's Delhi and Malian.
Yeah, and this time we're gonna be out on Boldland. Boldland is very interesting because now this matchup kind of gets flipped on its head again. Unlike on Dry Arabia, Boldland, wood is a lot more sparse. It's a lot easier to raid. I believe your first wood might not even be in range of your main TC, so it can be kind of rough for the Malians to gather the wood safely that they want in order to get the pit mines in. It's also just easier to move around or maneuver around the Malian base. And we kind of saw how this could potentially play out with the Delhi when they just commit fully to the aggression. Being able to just produce so many units that it's very tough for the Malians to stabilize and get enough units out on the field.
Yeah, even like taking it old school, right? Because in this particular season, we've been talking about pro scouts over and over and over again. But what if MarineLorD just makes a crap ton of units? I mean, like, yeah, you can go pro scouts while you're doing it on the back end, but just like, hey, the Malians in feudal, they're struggling. They're trying to get all of their stuff together. They're getting their pro scouts as well, their warrior scouts. Just make a bunch of dudes and go get them. It could be that simple.
Have a party, dude. Just have a party, man. It's Saturday evening. Like, when if not now?
Yeah, I mean, if you're not, hey, it's 5 o'clock somewhere,
It's 5 o'clock somewhere in the world. Yeah.
Here it is on Eastern time zone. I know for you it's a little bit later, but for me it's 2 p.m. Eastern time. And we might be seeing now, this is match point. If Anatan has anything left in this game number 4, this is his time to make a mark, get a point on the board. Now, remember, whoever loses this isn't out of the tournament. They end up going to the losers final, I would imagine. Is that correct?
Yeah, exactly. Losers final for the player that loses this one is going to have to face off against Beastie. And going back to the party topic, there's an analogy that I can't bring, sadly, because it doesn't work in English. But in Germany, or in German, the number 4 rhymes with beer. So if it's 4:30, it's time for beer.
Cool. Okay.
Little tip.
It doesn't rhyme in English, but honestly, I just need an excuse to crack a cold one open with the boys. You know what I mean? And we might have a little bit of.
You'll take anything.
We might have a little extra time to do that, depending. Or is Anatan going to show his fangs in this game number 4? We're diving in, and it is Anatan playing as the Malians, spawning in the south part of the map. MarineLorD playing as the Delhi Sultan, spawning in the north side. Baldland is such an interesting map to me. And for somebody that you might have, helped other players practice, I don't know if you did play the qualifier. I apologize. I probably should know. But when you have this map, what was your feeling about it from a competitive standpoint?
When I saw this map, I was like, okay, interesting wood lines. I looked at it a little bit more and was like, okay, yeah, this is a very map control heavy map. I quite like it. It's a shame when it comes to the meta that we're in at the moment. I'm gonna be honest. I'm not the biggest Pro Scout fan, and Pro Scout is very good on this map. I wish that wasn't the case, but that's the way it is at the moment. I think once Pro Scout meta is not as prevalent as it is at the moment, I think this map is gonna be like one of the best maps in the entire map pool in Age of Empires 4.
Yeah, I mean, it definitely looks linear. As you look at the sheep counter, we're actually neck and neck, and MarineLorD taking the slight edge on the sheep. But take a look at, just because we're dealing with the Malians, and we got to talk about their passive income, where their spawn is. Look at that gold mine from Anatan all the way in front. He has a second one on the southeastern side that could be relatively safe, but it's still pretty far out there.
It is quite far. I mean, Anaton's gold, it's very far outside, and this means it's the perfect target for MarineLorD. Grant, he also has another just very, very nicely positioned gold way in the back. But if you go for something like Ghazi Raiders, you can just hit the one pit mine at the front. If your opponent goes for the other pit mine in the back, you can just run around. It's better than having them all at the same side. That much is for sure.
Yeah, no, you're exactly right. It's relatively good to have them spaced out. You do see a couple gold mines that are here more forward, obviously, than that first initial one. So I don't know if he's necessarily going to go for those just because of how close they are. But with Anatan, he's going to be going up with the Manticore, 5 villagers on it, MarineLorD, and the Dome of the Faith with 4 villagers. This is pretty standard stuff, and actually most likely a direct replica from what we saw the series prior.
Yeah, Dome of Faith this time not with the 5 villagers, and it looks like Anotand is... he didn't go for the fully kitted out pit mine this time around, so there are some slight deviations coming in here early on from what we've seen in the last time we saw these two civilizations clash.
Yeah, definitely. There was a little bit of discrepancy definitely on the Delhi side. Now, with Anatan going up with the Manticore, though, Crackety, I'm not seeing a mill.
Yeah, no mill yet. He does have the resources for it. Instead, he's opting for more buildings around the pit mine. I mean, a mill gets built up pretty quickly. There it is. Mill's coming in. I mean, it's a Pro Scout meta. We don't have to look at that. Chances are, mill is going to be built.
I mean, I did know that, but, you know, I was kind of on my toes a little bit. I wasn't sure if we were actually going to see it. He does have the ability to plop that stable down immediately if he so chooses to try to get some more scouts out there as MarineLorD just finishes his Dome of the Faith and will be starting, hopefully as quickly as possible, to get those scholars up, get some of that research technology going. Those scholars got to get produced, crack open their books because, hey, there's carcasses to take.
Yeah, definitely. Scout is just harassing that gold mine at the moment, and the stable is on its way. So once that warrior scout upgrade comes in, we are gonna be seeing that scout do a lot more damage than it currently is. We don't have professional scouts in Q right now. There it is. Just now gonna be coming in.
And remember, for the Malians, it is a normal time. It's kind of interesting because we see, you know, China and Zhu Xi getting it on expert, you know, super quick timing. We see like the Delhi Sultanate comes in a little bit slower timing. This one's actually normal. It's just the units that are going to be carrying those carcasses back. And the Warrior Scout upgrade did get completed, so we will be able to travel. And it's always astounding to me, Crackety, how fast those Warrior Scouts actually are carrying a carcass.
Yeah, they do move a good bit faster than normal scouts do. MarineLorD popping out those scholars, just making sure that villager is going to be nice and healthy. If he leaves it on low HP, chances are that Anaton might circle around at a later point in time and just try and take him down then. You can just pull the scholars for a little bit and make sure that villager is completely full health. Then it's not going to happen.
Yeah, because I mean, those 1 or 2 scholars, it's what? Just you pop them out, takes about 5 or 6 seconds to heal them, and then just put them back in. So it's just kind of a little bit of steady break. They want to be able to actually go out and practice their craft, you know, with a little bit of healing. Nice that those Ghazi Raiders will be able to deter the Warrior Scouts of the Mali. We talk about how good they are, but what we mentioned before in this previous series, Crackety, the reason why they're that fast, they don't have any armor on them.
Yeah, you gotta make up for some things, right? So the Malian scouts, they're cheap, you can get out a lot of them, but what you can't really do is you can't really use them against archers. That's why they got javelin throwers, but it's a whole different like unit dynamic that you got going on with the Malians compared to other civilizations. It's what makes them so unique.
Yeah, and that's what like
the guy helping out.
Man. Oh my! And the wolf too. I could barely see it because of the relic, the little yellow strand that it has here.
He's
and
teaming,
that is
dude.
That's Gaia 1, MarineLorD 0.
Aye. Nice play there from Anaton. Gets a Ghazi kill in. MarineLorD now transitioning into archers with those Ghazi Raiders. Sensible transition there when it comes to unit choice.
Yeah, and I feel like when
the scholars move out.
I feel like when you're Anatan, you kind of have to go Donzos, right? You expect the Ghazis, and then the archers kind of follow, and then Anatan most likely will be going javelin throwers after that, after he sees the archers. So we'll see if whoever makes enough units to actually make that difference in feudal age. But the dongs heard round the world. These sacred sites are going to start getting captured rather instantaneously, and MarineLorD has that military mass to continue to have a hold on them.
Yeah, one of the scouts is coming in here, tries to deny the sacred site, at least for a little bit, but there's a Ghazi Raider out as well, and, you know, the scholars, they don't take bonus damage, they are pretty tanky. Archers now
especially
in as
with
well.
piety.
130 HP, 65 gold, good meat shield.
Yep, absolutely. And now, I mean, MarineLorD is trying to take the damage onto the pit mine, and it's super nice that he's creating this kind of a front for himself as the archers are going to start prickling down those Donzos, because then the sacred sites are relatively safe. You're going to be able to cap those pretty easily, while the Malians are just focused on keeping their pit mine alive.
Yeah. Pit mine, slowly but surely, is getting taken down. First javelin thrower is out now for Anaton. He's got a lot, and I mean a lot, of these warrior scouts out on the field, so after he's done taking all of the deer on the map, not only won't MarineLorD have access to any deer, but on top of that, Anaton's gonna have a nice little force that he could potentially start raiding with.
Yeah, it's kind of nice that they actually have value, right? It's not like the scouts that MarineLorD was pumping out out of his stable, right? They're only going to do 1 damage. They're always going to do 1 damage. They don't have that warrior capability. So getting those to provide some raiding, hopefully you have some areas from the Delhi Sultanate that you can raid. MarineLorD, even though Pro Scouts did get completed, he was able to go to that berry patch all the way to the north, so it could be a viable target. However, for MarineLorD, I don't know, what are the blacksmith technologies that are in for him?
None at the moment. He is researching pierce damage first. That's going to be the next upgrade that will be coming in for him. Anaton, he's investing a lot into sofas right now.
Yeah, what do you think about, I mean, we talked about this in Feudal Age just a little bit in our prior series, but going into sofas, it feels like the Ghazis would do relatively okay with that +2 to heavy, don't you think?
Yeah, they should. They definitely should. Also, just having more base damage as well. You trade out fairly well against them. Getting more and more javelin throws out. Anotand, the mass, it's somewhat comparable when you consider that MarineLorD also has 4 scouts and 7 scholars out on the field. So the military mass overall is comparable, and the javelin throws are going to do a much better job against the archers than the archers are against the javelin throws.
Oh, absolutely. Yeah, the ranged armor that a javelin thrower just comes with, you know? It starts with 3, so you're going to be able to take them now. If those horsemen get a nice surround on that mass, it could prove to be effective. Anatan did go for that gold mine that we talked about a little bit before on that bottom side, so he is getting that little bit of passive gold. It's just not as much, not as strong as he wants to, because practically those javelin throwers, if he wants to keep massing up those, he's going to need a decent amount of gold to do it.
Yeah. Just that passive trickle, and sofas aren't cheap either. Like, you're looking at a good sofa, that's gonna cost you a couple $100.
Yeah, it's. I mean, don't get me wrong. Those sofas, it doesn't have the imported armor, but it's still a good piece of furniture out there. Just giving you that little bit of extra HP, giving you that front line that's gonna help you with the Donzos. That could be that real DPS heavy hitter for the Ghazis. So we might have to see, is MarineLorD going to make a spearman transition? Is he going to go in there and try to get something that gets to counter to these sofas?
One of the Ghazi Raiders gets taken down. MarineLorD doesn't fall back far enough. He's going to lose another one. Some trades coming in here at the moment. No transition, or at least no sign of a transition to Castle Age from MarineLorD so far. Is still just running around with military, has even more Ghazi Raiders in queue. All right, Anaton behind us. He's just going into one more sofas and some villagers. Getting, but maybe the archers were a little bit too greedy. The sofas do find them here. Ghazi Raiders nowhere nearby. They are trying to run around now. There should be at least a couple of archers going down.
Yeah, and let's see if those Ghazis can actually provide the reinforcements. It was enough to get Anatan to pull away. Those archers aren't too bad against those sofas, just because in Feudal Age, I believe, they come with a ranged armor of 2. Is that correct? And
yeah,
steel iron undermesh for Anatan not completed. He's still sitting at 2.
And we don't actually have any blacksmith upgrades for Anaton. First one is just now coming in. It is going to be that pierce armor upgrade. So it takes him a little bit of time. Decap is going to get stopped courtesy of those Ghazi Raiders. No more deer out on the map at this point in time. There's only 1 deer camp next to MarineLorD's base. The small deer camp that he's picking up right now. I'm not sure how many deer MarineLorD has underneath his TC. Can we quickly take a look at his TC? Just see, maybe we can see the silhouettes there. Okay, he's got a fair amount of resource underneath his TC. That's a TC that you're still gonna see actively being gathered from 10 minutes from now.
And you know, if your goal is to win in the next 6.5 minutes, that might be all the food that you need, right? So we're gonna see MarineLorD trying to take the battle to Anatan, trying to take it in the Malian Empire instead of getting those sacred sites decapped. And Crackety, I think in this situation, especially with the amount of military that MarineLorD has, sometimes the best defense is just a good offense.
Yeah, indeed. And I mean, offense, that's definitely something that MarineLorD is putting up here. Build the remaining couple of houses around the pit mine. Means that Anotand, he's housed for the time being. Sofas are just, looking around, but MarineLorD does have vision on those.
He is going to see it. He might not see it immediately, but it looks like 1 or 2 villagers will go down. More than a couple. Maybe about 4. 3, actually, which ended up being pretty good for
Yeah, it gets
Anatan.
a
Now
couple
remember, with
villagers.
these villagers, they're the only ones that are actually getting resources. Anatan has all of these fancy buildings as the Malian Empire, so all those villagers, you got to keep them. You got to keep them alive. You got to keep them safe.
Percent and behind this MarineLorD, he's going for his own raid, but Anaton has his units nearby. If he spots this in time and doesn't lose too many villagers of his own, looks like he realizes in time. Perfect raid is getting denied completely here. In fact, MarineLorD even losing a couple of units for it.
And this was really nice. I mean, obviously, heads up for Anatan for looking at his mini-map, obviously, but making sure his military was positioned there, because that front gold mine, that pit mine, isn't there anymore. The houses aren't there anymore either, right? So kind of be thinking, where is he going to go to try to take down some of this gold? And that is the area. Sacred Victory continuing to tick down. 4 minutes, 45 seconds. Usually Malians want a little bit of time to get their cow boom going, to get all of this stuff. Anatan doesn't have time for that. He's going with the Farimba. You can see he's sitting on a singular bovine. Oh my god, and he's corralling. He's corralling.
He is indeed corralling, and I mean, that's kind of fine, right? Like, you can still add in these cattle afterwards, but what you can immediately get out of veterancy upgrades. And these are quite cheap for the Malians as well.
Yeah, I mean, he definitely needs them, and he needs them in a hurry, right? Especially, this is usually the time, assuming that you're not getting consistently idled and hit mines going down and all that kind of stuff. This is the time where that economy from the corral is supposed to shine for you, right? So now he's sitting on a little bit under 4 minutes. If he even gets those cows underway and gets them in their ranches particularly, how is he going to be able to mass up enough to actually do anything? MarineLorD sitting on a military count of 75.
Yeah, that's a lot of military. Granted, 11 of that is in the form of scholars. I think MarineLorD, he expects that something is up. He did kind of stop making more military units. There's still a timer that's going on. There's still a lot of sheep that are remaining for MarineLorD behind this. Anthony's pretty much gathered up all of his, and now MarineLorD, he's going for the push. Age-up has just come through. Now it's a combined push with all the military units. Upgrades are coming in for Anaton. Just going to take a little bit longer, but these upgrades are coming in quicker, courtesy of just being the Malians. You get them in quicker, you get them in cheaper. Oh, MarineLorD, the quick transition up to Castle Age from him. That is quite quick. House of Learning now coming in as well. But now if Anaton takes his fight with all the feudal age upgrades, yeah, MarineLorD, he's going to have to bail.
And I think he's going to a little bit of everybody single file line. Those Ghazi Raiders are between those houses in a dark alleyway, but did escape with maybe one loss of the Ghazi Raiders. But with that House of Learning coming up, he's going to be able to get those heavy units right in Castle Age that might be able to hold his Sacred Victory for the time being. Now, you are absolutely right. Those veteran upgrades are in for Anatan, but let's see if he can actually make a difference, because this is that power spike that we've been told of the Malian Empire. Now he's trying to raid himself back in.
Decap is being denied, and that's pretty important because we're actually down to 2.5 minutes now on that decap. Age-ups through for MarineLorD now. We are getting Informer in. Suddenly, all of these Sofa take very little range damage. We're seeing some Men-at-Arms coming in from MarineLorD, but Men-at-Arms, they don't really do that well up against the Sofas, and now they're going to be in. But there's a lot of outposts up as well from MarineLorD everywhere where he's getting food from. It's going to be pretty tough to really find those villager kills that Anaton wants to look out for.
And honestly, like, if he wants this game to end in 2 minutes, Crackety, I mean, yeah, the outposts are great, but I don't know if he actually cares, right? Like, if he wants to end in 2 minutes, I don't really care if my villagers are gonna stay alive for the rest of the game. I'm on a countdown, and so is Anatan. He's got to be pumping stuff out. He's getting some of those Sofas that will be able to help. A lot of these veteran upgrades are coming in with 11 scholars for MarineLorD, so hopefully they get up pretty quickly for this last engagement, which could be the last of the entire series.
With this many scholars in, and he's getting all the upgrades in quite quickly. This is the timing now. I mean, MarineLorD's getting the upgrades in quickly. Anaton, he needs to get the decap in now.
And I think he kind of notices that. He's actually has all of his army here, and he's cool to take that fight. A lot of these veteran units, the archers are veteran, I do believe, from the Delhi Sultanate. The Ghazis still have a little bit of time.
Nice
He's
raid.
gathering up some men-at-arms, but
He kept us
timer's
in.
gone.
And this buys Anaton time now. He can get the Grand Filani Corral kitted out.
Oh, no. Oh, no. Look at all them raids. A little bit of a wall for MarineLorD coming in. Hopefully, Anatan's paying attention, and he does move some of those villagers out. But now, economic lead in favor of the Malians, 59 to 46, and that's not counting that passive income that we know the Malians to know.
Can we take a quick look at that Grand Filani Corral? Just see if there's like an expansion when it comes to the cattle. We're up to 6 at the moment. Now the cattle ranch is going to be coming in. So slowly but surely, the passive food income is going to go higher and higher. Like just those 6 cattle there is going to be able to with like, let's say roughly like 250 resource per minute.
Yeah, but you're absolutely right. This is the time for him to kind of get his feet out from under him and get to that late game power. The Malians have another Wolo, which I don't even see at this point. Up! Is he gonna get?
Oh my god, that was so
that
close.
was really close.
Yeah.
That was really close. Now MarineLorD with a military count of 94, most of them being archers, and he's adding in some men-at-arms as well. What are your thoughts about, I know this is very difficult to say when going against the Malians, but what are your thoughts about crossbowmen just because of how many sofas Anatan's going into?
Crossbow's definitely an option here. It's kind of crazy just how many men-at-arms he's massing, right? There aren't really that many archers in. Actually, never mind. Anaton's just switching into archers. I believe he's already gotten poison arrows in earlier as well. So he does have some good tools against this in theory. More sofas coming in as well. If you're able to take down the spearmen, the sofas are going to absolutely shred. Relics are pretty much all secured up for MarineLorD behind this, though. He's gotten a lot of them. One relic safely inside, or rather behind the walls from Anotand. He needs to just be careful about this next fight that's going to be coming shortly.
Yeah, this might be one that MarineLorD might want to take. He's Anatan with very good micro. These Donzos trying to make sure that those Ghazi Raiders don't get a lot of damage. But I think this just, look at the mass of these Delhi Sultanate units just storming down the battlefield. Spearmen, men-at-arms, Ghazi Raiders chasing the Malian Empire, being like, hey, you're sitting there, you got to take a fight whether you like it or not. And Anatan, I don't think he likes it.
Yeah, definitely not a fight that you want to take at this point in time. Anaton, he needs to hurry back. He needs to get into like a choke point inside of his base. Spearmen, there's still 13 spearmen remaining, so he does, like MarineLorD still has a good number up against the Sofa. Sofa now as the front line. Javelin throwers trying their best to target them down. Sofa numbers are looking more and more weak here, though.
Wow.
Oh, that's a rough one. This might be it.
Yeah, I think just because of the Delhi Sultanate being the Delhi Sultanate, I think you're going to be able to continuously produce, right? So I think those sacred sites, even though we were talking about that being, you know, the quote-unquote win condition, it could have been just a means to an end, right? And let's not forget, even though there was that timer going on, let's not forget about the passive income that those sacred sites were actually getting. Now the relics are going to be giving him that income as well. You can see the swell of gold that MarineLorD has, so he can essentially make just about whatever he wants to, and he's going to be able to actually go outside on the map a little bit and get some of those external food resources if he hasn't already. It gives him a little bit of time to get a farm transition too.
Now a lot of villagers out on stone as well. It could be that he now just tries to secure his base with some additional keeps. There's a lot of unique upgrades locked behind those keeps that MarineLorD can unlock once he gets them up. Mine in the middle gets taken down, and Anotand's access to gold is being cut short now.
Yeah. And I think, you know, a lot of those gold mines were forward. You saw 3 of them over there that were relatively forward. I'm not sure if that first one is actually completely used. If not, it probably will be going into the 0 category pretty quickly, but it's certainly not safe. That backward sacred, that gold mine back there is obviously getting spent as well. I have no idea where he's getting gold other than the mines.
Just here in the front line once again to tank this one out. Spearmen still being reproduced, and this is just such a big front line here from MarineLorD. Very difficult for Anaton to really take the efficient fights that he's looking for. Just to Kite back once again inside of his base, but just 83 military out. Almost 20 of that in scholars, but it's still a massive military lead.
Oh, yeah. And I mean, obviously, there's no signs of slowing down, right? MarineLorD has his farm economy pretty much completed, right? For the most part, so he's going to be able to get as much as he wants. These men-at-arms and how food-heavy they are is obviously going to be helpful. Anotand has a bunch of peasants over there on the western side. It looks like he might be trying to get to that gold.
Yeah, keep on the gold. That's what's going to be able to stabilize him, at least when it comes to the gold income. He's kind of struggling in that department. If he's able to get a lot of gold in, then he's going to be able to finish out the Grand Filani Corral, where he does already have a good amount of food. Like, the food income is good for him. Just the gold that he needs in order to be able to keep pumping Village Fortress coming in play, though.
Ooh, that's rough. You know, I mean, the Delhi did lose a decent amount in raids from those Warrior Scouts and Sofas prior, but you're going to see how quickly, depending on how long this game goes, you're going to see how quickly the economic count ends up evening, if not increasing, in favor of the Delhi Sultanate. Now, Anotand does spot out where this keep is because of those little bit of Sofas. That keep might go up anyway, but still at the cost of a couple vills.
Ooh, military being moved out. I mean, the keep is going to be there to help out Anotand. MarineLorD is moving underneath that keep. Ooh, that's going to hurt him. He's going to lose some units there. Oh, this could be good for Anotand, being able to trade out some units here underneath that keep. That's a very good trade now for him.
And this is just that little bit of time, a little glimmer of hope. You know, he's
Yeah,
got
not
both
just a
sacred
little
sites
glimmer.
MarineLorD does, but
Not just a little glimmer of hope, because behind this, you gotta remember, like, we've got Mali with cattle here, and there's now a good amount of cattle, 15 underneath that Grand Filani Corral. He's got a very solid food economy. If you look over at MarineLorD's income, it's not looking quite as rosy here. If Anaton just gets, like, some siege and continues making sofas, I think he could, like, really push into MarineLorD's base then.
he just might be able to. And those archers are pretty much the only thing that he has towards the men-at-arms that MarineLorD is making. And I get with the poison arrows, but the thing is, those archers are very flimsy, Crackety, you know? And with all of these Delhi keeps around, you're right. He's going to need something to take down a defensive structure.
The keep going up for MarineLorD now. MarineLorD, though, he's still a good bit behind in the economy. Almost 20 villagers. On top of that, the cattle economy. Working hard for Anotand.
I think there is that little bit of decap on the western side. I don't know if MarineLorD is going to necessarily be worried about it, but Anotand getting a couple sofas around just to create some villager loss, and you know, it's definitely going to slow the rate that Village Fortresses becomes impressive for you, right? It's going to take a little bit of time. More sofas coming in here looking for raids. But this is the weird thing about Delhi, Crackety. I always think they're like a cockroach civilization because they put keeps around all over the place that then make a bunch of villagers, and you can't really, like, you can't find a good point to raid them.
Yeah, can we also just, like, talk about just how massive the upgrades are from the Delhi keeps? Because they also get, like, an upgrade that increases the fire armor on outposts and keeps by, like, +5. Makes it almost impossible to really, like, torch down the keeps. That's not researched yet. It's available, though.
Because you see a lot of times where maybe you just have enough melee units and you're just like, you know what, I'm just gonna burn this keep. I'm done. Like, I might lose a couple units, but like whatever. Definitely not the case for the Delhi Sultanate. But Crackety, take a look at some of these resources. Is Anotand, he did get a second town center over there on the eastern side, so definitely continuing to rise in the economic count, but he might be thinking about Imperial.
Yeah, Anotand's certainly macroing towards it right now. That's interesting. Typically, you kind of like don't want to give Delhi the opportunity to go into Imperial themselves, because then they suddenly unlock a lot of upgrades very, very quickly. A couple of archers are going to be trying to snipe some villagers, are going to get some villager kills. Never mind, healer is going to be coming in. Also, the upgrade is in where there's even some passive heal around the moss coming in. A lot of unique upgrades, you know? Just a lot.
I mean, MarineLorD must think that he's okay in this situation. And we're having a party, ladies and gentlemen. The Griya Bara Festival. Get your party hats on, baby.
Wait, where's my bingo card? It's not on there. That is not on there. And we had a...
Oh, man.
Okay, never mind. That's the main TC. No, we have a second TC for Anaton behind us as well. Oh, that's a wild game. Okay, that's interesting. When did that come in?
Yep. We got a good old-fashioned hoedown right here with that Griabara. Now, hopefully he's going to be able to use it effectively, of course. But now with that situation, MarineLorD just sees the Anotand hits Imperial Age. Now what's your play? I mean, obviously he's using Village Fortresses, he's getting up in that economic count, but I feel like you got to hit that imp button as soon as you possibly can, right?
We're seeing some bombards coming in now for Anotand. Mangonels on the side from MarineLorD, trebuchets as well. 3 up already. I mean, the bombards are going to be able to do quite well up against the mangonels. Just need a couple more.
Yeah, and hopefully, I mean, MarineLorD can get enough siege and can actually do it pretty quickly. If he does have a scholar in the siege workshop, you'd be surprised how quickly you get some of that stuff in. Mangonel shots looking and missing the mark just slightly. A couple archers, I should say, excuse me, did end up getting hit, but that stealth force is a real bugger, isn't it? You can't really see what's going on, and I don't think MarineLorD has a scout in the vicinity, does he?
MarineLorD has an outpost. That's going to help him out for sure.
Yep, for sure.
He's got scouts nearby as well, but now with the bombard, he's going to be able to push MarineLorD back a good bit. And now has a duel up against the mangonels as well as all the keeps that are out. Lead upgrade is in on the archers. Precision upgrade as well. That's pretty much chemistry for the Mali, and suddenly these archers are going to do a lot more damage, even up against the armored units from MarineLorD. And no crossbows out yet from MarineLorD, actually. Only a single one. So these mangonels, they might be in danger.
And I think they might be. Now, again, those poison arrows don't work on the siege. You can't poison a piece of wood, but you get enough sofas in there, it might be able to do some damage. Mango's trying to get repaired. Anotand is pushing with these bombards. The second one is hitting the battlefield. And I don't know if MarineLorD necessarily has an answer for this. He's trying to treb down the bombard right now.
Yeah, you gotta have some really accurate shots on that one. Villagers just hopping inside of the houses now. You know, he's running out of food. He needs even more farms now. Berries have run out in the corner. Mangonel's getting a good shot in. Spread army formation is coming in as well. Minimize the damage that's coming in. And with all the Mali and unique upgrades as well, like these archers now do a lot of damage, even up against the men-at-arms. Sofa's cleaning up, yeah. Mangonel's going down. Anaton looks like he's going to be able to get a point on the board here in this game. It's looking good right now. If he's able to continue on with this push. MarineLorD, he's so far away from Imperial Age. He doesn't have the food for it.
Yeah, and you know, he feels like he's got to keep making units, right? He definitely does. He's still using those trebs to rain down any kind of rock to take down the bombards because there's nothing. In terms of ranged anti-siege, this game doesn't have it anymore. So you're going to be using trebuchets as best you can to try to take them down. But you can see, just like you said, Crackety, those archers taking down those men-at-arms. Oh my god, the actual, like, it's almost like a switch flip once that technology was completed. Those men-at-arms are not a front line at all anymore.
Sofa's coming in as well. That's a lot of mangonels, but the keep looks like it is going to get taken down. One of the mangoes goes down. Archer numbers did thin out a little bit, at least at the front side. Anaton, he's going to retreat for the time being, but he still has a lot of food income. MarineLorD does not.
Oh yeah, I mean, look at his eco. He's sitting on almost 2,000 food per minute. Anotand has continuously raided. Oh my god. That's a lot of farms that have yet to be completed, and that's probably what's going to help him to actually reproduce units. So now is the time for the Malians. Get yourself up to that pop cap and just send it.
Yeah, and Malians, they're one of the best civilization when it comes to sticking to the population cap. A lot of passive income. Just don't need a population, well, economy population for it. And the 2 bombards just putting in the overtime. 3rd bombard now in queue. We're up to 40 again. 14 Sofas coming as well. All elite up. Upgrades are through. And the Gazi Raiders trying their best to get onto the archers, but they get taken down so quickly. How much damage is that right now on the archers? We got +3 pierce damage in as well. They pierce armor. +5 damage in on them.
I mean, they were taking down those Gaussies 2 at a time. Just with them. And you thought, you know, maybe there aren't that many archers there, but there's enough to do that part of damage. Absolutely. And MarineLorD's trying to save himself with some of these mangonels, but he doesn't have a front line to protect them. He's basically using the trebuchets to body block. Anotand is officially on the board.
And there we go. Game number 4. Anaton gets on the board here with Malians up against Delhi. Able to do... I mean, this just kind of... does this just kind of show that maybe this matchup is completely flipped on its head now? Because it used to be that Delhi just absolutely smashes Malians, but this is the second Malian win we've seen today in this matchup.
I mean, MarineLorD had that feudal advantage, did he not?
He did. I mean, look at that military graph, right? Like, it's all pink until the very end.
Right. So, like, I guess I'm not sure why, and obviously there's people that are better than me that could give me the knowledge necessary, but like, just go into feudal and get some feudal stuff going on. We're gonna see a replay of the series that we have seen throughout the day, and a lot of these games are going to be going in MarineLorD's favor. This first game, as the Rus did very quick work of the Chinese, getting himself back in the sacred site, that middle sacred site, and the second TC helping him out as well. I think for China, there's really no stopping that Rus eco once you started to get everything together. Those horsemen also getting taken down rather quickly. Range mass, too much to deal with.
We're getting to it. We're getting to it. Upcoming match, it's gonna be the Order of the Dragons. Order of the Dragon up against the Ottomans on moving out. Oh my god, this is gonna be a fun one. I can already tell.
Hey, I mean, Order of the Dragon seems like one of those picks that's specifically for moving out, because a lot of people, I feel like, ban HRE. So hopefully we'll be able to see some nice shenanigans, and it's going to be our first Ottoman sighting as well. You're taking a look at game number 2. MarineLorD used those Desert Raiders to his advantage. Game number 3, MarineLorD using the Arbaletier to their advantage, devastatingly good against the Japanese, and a lot of those units for Anatan end up going down rather quickly, fighting under that keep, and MarineLorD teching into Spearmen at just the right time in order to try to take those out, and the keep obviously providing that fire as well.
Literally just being such a powerhouse up against the Japanese, and really just one of these units where you need siege, else there's just very little that you can do against them.
Yeah, absolutely. We're seeing even the victory screen making the replay. Shout out to our wonderful producers in the background for making these replays so we can take a quick look if you might have missed the first 4 games. Like, look at this from, well, this was Castle Age. Both of these guys ended up being Castle Age. But I feel like there was a time before, like, Anatan got those villagers out to get the keep, to get that gold. And I feel like that was his time to really do that push that he wanted.
Yeah. Man, I gotta take a moment here, because, like, you see all of these, like, insane production features that we got going on here. Man, like, it's all thanks to, well, we got a like magical cow here working hard behind the scenes for us, bringing us all of these amazing features. And you know why he's bringing you guys all of these amazing features? Because you're here. Because you, the community, you're watching all of these tournaments, and all of this couldn't be happening. You are the backbone of the Age of Empires 4 community, just watching us commentate, blabbering on about these pro games that are going on. Thank you guys so much for being here. Now Anaton's got a point on the board. There are still more games to be played.
Yeah, I think it's wild that I don't know how you feel about this, but I still find it absolutely astounding that people want to listen to me talk for hours on end. But I'm happy to oblige for you, and I'm sure Crackety is too. I couldn't think of a better partner to have sitting alongside me in these semifinal games. Now, don't forget, tomorrow we're not done with this series, right? But don't forget, tomorrow there is going to be a best of 7 and a best of 9 grand final. We're going to decide who is going to be playing in them, and we are going to figure out who is going to win this whole kit and caboodle. We've been playing this tournament for weeks, and now it is time to see who the clear-cut winner is. There's only 3 opponents left. 2 of them we're seeing in this pivotal Game 5. The other one just won his first series. That is Beastie, and he will be awaiting whoever loses this one.
Indeed. Looks like our players took a quick little break in between those games. I mean, you can imagine, right? Like, after all of these games, you play for hours on end. It starts to be a little bit draining. But we got the next game coming up just 2.5-ish minutes away. OTT versus Ottomans on Moving Out. Moving Out, it's such a polarizing map, isn't it? Like, I hear a lot of people, they say, oh, I hate Moving Out, such a bad map. Why is it being added in? I hear from other sides, oh my god, Moving Out, that's the best map ever. I've only ever seen fun games on Moving Out. Definitely, like, people are very split when it comes to the opinions on Moving Out. I'm of the opinion that Moving Out, it is so bad to play as a player. Then again, like, as a viewer, it's so good. It's so good. It's so entertaining as a viewer to watch that map. It's such a different map. It's a pain to practice it. There's so many weird and wacky moments. It's definitely not a normal meta map. But as a viewer, and when I cast on that map, I love it. I'm having an absolute blast, and I'm happy that we're going to be seeing it here.
And, you know, Crackety, I share the exact same sentiment. And you know what the best part of being a mediocre player is? I never have to play it. I don't. Nobody asks me to practice with them. Nobody, whatever, and I don't expect them to. Right? I don't. It's not like I'm not mad or anything. It's just, you know, what the talent level that I'm at, and I understand that. So I never have to play it. But
it's certainly a privilege.
Being able to actually sit and cast it and seeing all of these things, right? Seeing where those water situations are, those navy battles, seeing, you know, the outskirts of the land, all of these different points of interest. I could definitely see how that could be just a splitting headache. But,
you know, I like just leaning back in my observing chair, like, have a glass of wine and look at this as I see 2 players, like, at the very top end trying to maneuver around this chaotic map and be like, oh, yeah, I see. That's the mistake. Yes. You can't do that here. When I myself know, okay, if I was playing this, I would be doing 1,000 things wrong.
Mm-hmm. Yep. And that's, I mean, this kind of accentuates what makes a water map and a hybrid map as, you know, different and variable, because it's so much like there's so many different things that you have to do. It reminds me of Four Lakes, but just more chaos, right? It's like if Four Lakes just had a little bit too much to drink and it's stumbling around, you know, because Moving Out is probably what your significant other would ask you to do if you had too many drinks. But we're diving in to this one, Order of the Dragon versus the Ottoman Empire. I like Order of the Dragon on water, Ottomans. I'm very curious to see how Anaton plays this. Now, if he wins this, he definitely can get a little bit of a reverse sweep. Let's see if we can see it, Crackety. I'm ready. Game number 5. Let's go.
All right, should be jumping in any moment now. Where is that little fog that's coming in? A little bit of fog of water that transitions us in. There we go. Game number 5. Potential match point for MarineLorD in this best of 7 between MarineLorD and Anaton. The winners finals here on EGC Masters Winter. Who is going to be victorious and who is going to have to face off against Beasties in the loser final bracket in order to make it all the way to the grand final? We'll be finding out right now.
You know, this is a very I know we're gonna, you know, we always talk about this map as chaos and all of that kind of stuff, and I think it's important to kind of tell you why it's a little bit of chaos. Now, there's 4 of those deep water fish pockets on each quadrant of the little bit of lake that we have around here, but also this wood line, I think, is the most, I'm not going to say damaging, but the most, you know, sought after thing, right? Because I've seen civilizations like Malians on this map because they go for the big 5,000 hit point outpost right next to the wood line, and that proves to be a problem. Both of these civilizations don't have that super offensive like tower or outpost on the wood line, so they might be able to be left to their own devices for a little bit of time.
Yeah, at least, like, there's no, like, big landmark outposts here that are coming in, that's right. Something else that's interesting that is pretty much to this map is, or at least one of the things that are a little bit more unique. You see these, we see like 4 ponds, or like, not ponds, but like 4 schools of fish
Mhm.
on each of these sides. Only one of them is deep sea fish. We actually got some shoreline fish mixed in there as well. So you actually have to check, okay, not all fish is equal. Some are more equal than others.
All right, that's ridiculous. I did not know that. I thought, oh, well, I mean, I just kind of made the assumption, right? If they're in the deep water, I would assume they're deep water fish, but they swam a little bit too far upstream. The very first ships that we are going to be seeing out of both players is not Navy ships, like those feudal age ships. It's going to be transports. Order of the Dragon moving their way out. Ottomans already did onto that gold mine just to make sure that you go up to the feudal age. You need it, and you need to get out there if you're going to be doing any kind of damage to your opponent.
Scouts now moving out onto the land as well. We're going to get some nice sheep here in a little bit. There are actually a lot of sheep on the outer ring that can be picked up. Transport ship from Anaton is moving around, wants to get some scouting done as well. No need to just have that one sitting around idly after you're done transporting your villagers over. You can also just do what he does and maybe position it in between the dock and the fishing ships there. Maybe cause a little bit of some pathing issues there. And indeed, Anton, he's just gonna have it patrol here.
Yeah, just a little how you doing, keeping it fresh a little bit with this transport ship. And it actually looked like he was usering that. It looked like he was patrolling it first, but then he started going back and forth a little bit. Yeah, oh my God, look at him. He's dodging and diving his way around those fishing boats. Oh my goodness. Now, when you're playing this map into feudal age, as you can see on the actual crux of the map, the middle part, Anotand has already put walls up on the north side and on the south side. When you're going to go into feudal age, how much do you want to interact with your opponent on the other side?
I mean, it's definitely great just having access to these other fish spots there as well. So the value definitely is there. We're seeing the apple now coming in, and he put his age up and canceled. There we go. Sultan Hani Trade Network is going to be coming in. Be a good economic boost here for him. And if you're looking at the economy count from Anaton, do not be confused. He is not behind by a ton in economy up against Order of the Dragon. Ottomans were, or rather the Delhi were used as the base for the Ottoman civilization, which means that their fishing ship, for some reason, gets counted as a military ship by the UI. So Anaton is not way behind in the economy department, not at all.
Man, how fun is that?
Very fun.
Just an economic unit being counted in military. I should be surprised, but I am not. Sultani Trade Network will be going in just a little bit after that Akkad Chapel. And I know, a lot of people with Order of the Dragon, they say, Akkad Chapel doesn't do as good as the HRE because of that big benefit. You don't get as much of a benefit. But in this situation, with that giant wood line there, it's definitely necessary. Because, what are you going to do with the mine work,
Wheelbarrow coming in for MarineLorD, so immediately starts going for some economy upgrades here. Age up now coming in for Anaton as well. No military ship in production yet from either sides. There it is, Archer ship. Gonna be the first thing queued up by MarineLorD now.
This is kind of, we joked a little bit about the transport ship, but most likely, maybe MarineLorD takes this bait, right? And it's like, oh, I'm going to show my hand. Because notice, Anatan has not queued up anything yet. If he sees that an arrow ship from the Order of the Dragon comes out, and now he queues the Stringhold ship, which is the perfect counter. Now, when you are playing on moving out, just because of how many wood villagers you have, I guess I'm kind of questioning, when do you put that second dock? And it looks like that time is now. MarineLorD's going to be having that dock on the south side. Anatan's got one in the north.
Yeah, that's kind of the way the woodline splits it up, right? Like, it's very unrealistic for Anaton to just easily be able to keep up a dock over here, or at least if you want to, put up walls as well. They would be quite wonky walls if you want to get the the fish over there on that side as well. Seeing a second Springle ship coming in for Anotand as well. And not ship. Okay. So both players scaling into the water here at this point in time. It's kind of nice just being able to have the observer view and being able to look over the woodline and just know that these players are quite close to each other. A lot closer than they might think. When it comes to who this is worse for, I think this is going to be worse for MarineLorD in the end, because he's got the Archon. And if the Archon space gets denied, that's a hit.
Yeah, I mean, you got to think, just because this map has that wood line and you know that somebody's going to be cutting in the other side, you should probably get outposts pretty quickly.
Yeah, speaking of
don't
it,
you think?
We're getting an outpost in. We also have the first Vizier point. It is going to be that sheep Vizier point. Oh, this outpost isn't spotted yet. Oh, this is great. This is great. Investing into that outpost a little bit earlier.
I mean, this is, don't get me wrong, this is great, but for MarineLorD, this is a problem. You know, because, like, you might not be able to get over there to actually do anything, you know? So maybe MarineLorD might be having a little bit of a better fight or a better job on water. It looks like he has 3 Springle chips already to Anatand's 2. But how far do you want to go offensively? Now that tower is completed, and Order of the Dragon Villager does go down, which is quite important. That Aachen Chapel field is going to be compromised.
Yeah. So some villagers here that will have to move out. Moving out. They're not going to be buffed anymore.
Nice. Good one. Yeah, you're exactly right. You know, there's probably a little bit of trees over there on the north side, but they're not, you know, they're going to be chopped through pretty quickly. The southern side, too, because obviously both of them want to go in the middle, because if there are ships around the other side, those villagers could start to get picked off. So the middle has to be safe. You're kind of forced to do that. But now with MarineLorD baking that, maybe Anotand can get the upper hand when it comes to the Navy, but he's still down one.
Yeah, more ships are coming up behind this. Does have some resource in as well. Could go for some demo ships here behind this as well. MarineLorD at the moment, he's got a lot out there.
Honestly, I kind of think it's a little ballsy to go for a lot of these Springled ships. Now MarineLorD has his arrow ships with him. Just having those Springled ships, you're definitely asking for a devastating demo hit.
We're getting horsemen now.
And they're not just regular horsemen. They are gilded horsemen. And they're probably on the... Are they on, like, the actual outskirts of the map on the western side?
They should be, but I think that's also where Anotand has a scout. So Anotand knows about this. Well, he sees it, but does he know about it? Does he consciously know about it? That's the difference maker. Looks like he realized outpost is coming up. Might not be enough, though, against Gilded Horsemen.
Yeah, because those Gilded Horsemen, they also have Gilded Torches, and they take down a little bit extra when it comes to those.
Never mind. Never mind. Speaking of not enough, look. Oh my god, I love this UI. Thank you so much, Cal. We got the 0 point in for the bonus damage on garrisoned units. We're getting crossbow emplacements.
Wow. That's really good. And then he's going to be adding a barracks as well for a little bit of spearman stuff, man. Anotand heads up play by him. He's making sure. Stuff. Yeah, right? So do I. And just having that ability and having the presence of mind to do so while you're trying to micro on water. I know we're watching all of these things happen, but you can't... I don't think I can stress enough how difficult it is to do all of these things.
And Anaton, he's done so much moving out, he might be moving in soon. Into the outpost, that much is for sure. Villager gets evacuated. We do see those crossbow shots coming out, doing a little bit more damage than they would ordinarily do. Villagers even pulling their shifts, doing a little bit of a jumping in and out boogaloo there.
And it looks like MarineLorD really wants to take down some of those southern docks. Really good presence of mind from MarineLorD as well, just to get naval arrow slits on that forward dock. I think Anotand has also followed suit with that. When having those arrow slits really slows the game down on the water. Anotand still trying to keep those villagers alive. I think there's one that actually did not make it to the tower.
Yeah, one might have gone down, but is doing some great damage there to those horsemen. So overall, can be happy with the current situation. And he's still got access to all the wood lines, right? So in the middle, at least, he is accessing the wood line with a lot more ease than his opponent. And we are now starting to see the first couple of demo ships coming out from Anaton.
Yeah, I mean, you have some arrow slits on both sides just taking pot shots at each other, but I think we're kind of seeing the power of not only the Akka Chapel, but the Gilded Villagers in terms of gathering wood. Look at how much wood MarineLorD has per minute, about 1,100 to Anatan's 900. And even with that little bit of idle time we saw in the middle, where that Akka Chapel is, he's still able to keep up.
And some more villagers moving out to the deer now. A little bit more food income coming in now. Scout does show himself there.
And it looks like MarineLorD, I mean, he's definitely, and don't get me wrong, he still has a lot of wood and he's continuing to gather a lot of wood, but it almost looks like he's trying to go for a castle age, don't you think?
Yeah, he's certainly macroing towards it. Could be a little bit dangerous for Anotand. He's also behind in the overall ship count, at least when it comes to the Springald ships. He is massing up a lot of demo ships, though. And if MarineLorD is a little bit too greedy here when it comes to his own age up, with sufficient demo ship count, this is going to be very, very brutal for Anaton. Burgrave Palace is coming in. I don't believe Anaton has a scout alive anymore to see this.
No, I don't think so either. I mean, it might beg the question whether you think Regnus or Burgrave is the right idea, but I don't think Anatan can really get in back to that outskirts and get a lot of help. He only pretty much has a couple spearmen, so Burgrave could really take him down. Now it's about MarineLorD just making sure he can stay afloat.
We have the demo ships in, and I mean, as soon as that Burgrave Palace is going to finish up, that's going to have to be Anaton's go signal. Loses one of his arrow ships, though. Needs to be careful, because now MarineLorD is also getting some demo ships in. Age-up is now getting clicked. There it is. Age-up just finishes. Now, this is the moment that Anaton needs to move.
And it looks like the Order of the Dragon is going to be going with men-at-arms to start out of that Burgrave, but Anatan will be trying to follow suit in the Castle Age department, going with the MIA, trying to get some of those free manganos. Hopefully he'll be able to get a couple to help him on those outskirts, but there is going to be a solid amount of melee units coming.
We got a slight pause here at the moment.
Oh,
A little bit of a freeze frame. Gonna be looking with what's going on there.
Chat? Hello?
Hello? Are you still there? Can you hear us?
Hello?
Is it us you're looking for? Okay, they can still hear us.
Okay, they can hear us. It's fine. The screen is frozen though. So, yeah, they there's some the ships. Vodka's main connection seemed to have dropped. We're at 14 minutes and 22 seconds in this game number 5 between MarineLorD and Antan. Guys, please do not go anywhere. We're going to be seeing this game very, very quickly. Maybe this could be the final game that we see today if MarineLorD has the ability, everything's gone, has the ability to go for a 4-1, or if Anatan can try to set the tone. And we are back. Ladies and gentlemen, Cal is coming in absolutely clutch? Question mark? Oh, he's changing. Okay.
We're getting the... There we go.
Oh, look at that water. It's so blue. Oh, you could
We got
drink
colors.
That. Oh my god. That's so crazy.
I put the glasses on and now I can see colors.
Yeah, give me a glass of that, baby. That's what I'm talking about. Okay. All right. 15 minutes, 23 seconds. So both of these players are in Castle Age currently, and hey,
Tim Keck W. Oh my god.
Oh my god. It was me. I did it. It was me. Sorry guys, I did it.
We pre-recorded stream, exactly. Yeah, we're gonna try and figure out what exactly is going on there on the production side. So just give us a moment. We will hopefully have that game right back for you guys in just a matter of moments.
I got.
So anyway, how's your day been?
I got somebody saying, "Fix it, not funny tontos." I don't know what a tonto is. But as you can see, we're just the faces on the screen that are getting presented with the information. There's actually nothing I personally can do about getting that. So hopefully, you sit down and put your muzzle back on when we go into game number 5, because I don't want to hear anything out of you.
That's a classic. That's a classic Tim KW moment for you, man.
Oh man. So as we're going into this game number 5, honestly, both of these guys, both of these players, relatively even here. You know, you have the MIA coming in for the Anaton that might be able to get in some free tech, but I don't see any blacksmith around it, so he's not going to have any of that increase, and he's going to be dealing with an onslaught of Burgrave units.
Yeah, that's gonna be the question, right? At the very least, though, what he does have is he does have those crossbow emplacements, right? So even if there's like some men-at-arms coming in, trying to do some shenanigans, he is gonna have the tools to work up against that.
Mhm. I think we're just like we're kind of seeing too some of that incremental. I want to say, significance or the economic prowess of the wood that those gilded villagers have with the Aachen Chapel. Because he had like he had the ability to make just as many spring-old ships, if not maybe a little bit more, while going up to Castle Age, and that's something that Anatan kind of needed to back up a little bit. He kind of needed to stop producing, make sure to kind of stay alive before going to Castle Age. Whereas MarineLorD just had that swift transition. But maybe with enough Burgrave units, you can cut through some of those crossbowmen emplacements. We'll have to see if Anatan's going to be able to stem that tide, because for HRE Order of the Dragon, that Burgrave Palace, it really is tempo based. It does help you in getting those military units and those land units a lot quicker. But once you get to a point later in the game, you're going to need more than just that Burgrave. So let's see. I'm hearing sounds in my ear. Are we ready to go?
Not quite yet, I believe, but we're working on it. Might be going in at any moment now.
You're hearing the chopping of wood. Well, not anymore, but you were. You were hearing the
It
chopping
was
of
there.
wood. And that is, man, what a sound. That chopping, I can go to sleep to that sound. That's like the little white noise machines that people have to try to sleep. You could definitely use some wood chopping for that. That and AoE too, if you've heard the wood chopping for both. Were you a previous AoE guy? Did you watch, or did you play, I should say, 1, 2, and 3?
I did. Quite a bit. I got to relative high elo in AoE2 as well. I think I was like...
Oh, hell yeah.
Look at that. Look at that.
How about it? 16 minutes, 45 seconds. We are back in the ball game, ladies and gentlemen. So make sure that you have your seatbelts fastened. Keep your hands and feet inside the vehicle at all times, because we're coming to you on this pivotal game number 5. You can see that Anatan does have a slight lead in military, but could that be just from the landmass that's around? Because MarineLorD's got 17 spring-old ships, and he's looking to take down that Ottoman water.
Yeah, fight is coming in here. We do have a trebuchet out from MarineLorD on the main island as well, in the middle, trying to reclaim that wood line. And...
He might reclaim it at some point. He
uh,
might. Don't keep your eyes on the screen. And maybe that wood line will be in favor of MarineLorD. Hopefully.
What do we have in terms of units? We got men-at-arms, we got spearmen, we got men-at-arms for Anaton as well. 17 hulks?
Yeah, that's a lot. And how, we always see a lot of battles like on Holy Island with a lot of feudal stuff and a lot of spring-old ships and feudal and all that kind of stuff. But once you get to Castle Age, right? How worth it are some of those dock upgrades? Like, you get like the extra spring-old bowl. It's just not something that we really see. It's not something that we really focus on. Do you ever, when you get them, do you ever get those upgrades?
Yeah, I mean they're really worth it, especially like on these pure water maps. Looks like we got the game going on again. Outpost coming up for MarineLorD now in the wood line as well. Is gonna be able to deny some wood there for Anotand. Spearman there as well to help out. Anton moving further back on the wood line. It's looking
Yeah.
rough for him right now. Water is still evening out. We do have that trebuchet actually moving in a little bit too far. A little bit too deep. Workers are there to repair though. Repair they will. It's so. I mean, this is kind of tilting, isn't it? You got like 3 men-at-arms there, and you're not able to take down the trebuchet.
Yeah, with all of those, like, you would think because the trebuchet is moving, and for how many villagers, that there wouldn't be too much of a, you know, repairability factor to it, but it looks like that is going to be the case. And MarineLorD's going right next to his town center, siege workshop, couple trebuchets. And I don't know if he can see that town center, Crackety, but if he can't, you could just target ground right on it, and Anatan's going to have to do something to stop it, while MarineLorD's going for the Swabia back on the outskirts.
Oh my god, Palace of Swabia now behind as well. Means the economy scaling is gonna be looking very, very good here for him. More men-at-arms coming in as well. We're only just now seeing a transition into crossbows from Anotand. He's very far behind in the food gathering, actually.
Yeah, it's kind of
Looks
surprising.
like, yeah,
The
looks like there was some deer gathering going on the main island behind it as well. Crossbows placement and placement doing a good job.
Yeah, I mean, Anatan, he's trying to obviously deal with this because of the Burgrave Palace that's around, but he's going to have to worry about those trebuchets. Like, he's not going to make any villagers. While on the flip side, there's a little bit of Palace of Swabia going around the other side. Demo's trying to get a hit, but MarineLorD's micro on those demo
Ooh.
ships prove to be reigning supreme, trying to take that dock down instead of trying to take the Hulks down. I think that's going to end Anatan's navy.
Yeah, now it's 9-15 when it comes to Springle ships. Imperial Age upgrades coming in as well. That cannon upgrade on the Springle ship means that now the Springles, they're going to get an additional attack in, and that is quite big. That swivel cannon does a lot of damage. Demo gets a nice connection in, but it doesn't feel like it's going to be enough. And there we go. Now the cannon shots are coming in as well. Not just the Springle shots. We see a lot of cannon shots now coming in. And with this many ships out, the numbers advantage looks like Anaton is not going to be able to hold out in water. And there it is. GG comes in. MarineLorD is going to be able to make it all the way through to the grand final in a 4-1 fashion. And behind this, Anaton, he's going to have to make his way back up through the losers bracket. It's going to have to face off against Beastie. That is going to be happening tomorrow, after which we will also see the grand final with the victor of the losers bracket up against MarineLorD in the grand final.
So that's what we waited for. There were maybe like 5 minutes left of the game, but we had to keep you guys on the edge of your seats for this 5-game series. MarineLorD taking this one 4-1, but you're absolutely right, Crackety. Anaton is not out of this yet. He will be the opponent of Beastie, and that will be your first best of 7. That will be tomorrow, and then the grand kitten caboodle, the grand final with MarineLorD, and the winner of Anatan versus Beastie. So tomorrow, same time we've been here. We've been here just about all day, casting for about 5 hours, Crackety, and I've had a blast with you, my friend.
Likewise, yeah, definitely. It was very, very entertaining casting with you as well, Tim. I do believe that we should be having an interview being set up right now as well, so we will get input in as well on this game. It's being set up. In the meantime, we are going to be able to get some of the replays in from this set, because we did have some great moments here in this one as well. First game, number 1, Ruse with MarineLorD. Just a clean play. I still believe like this game hinged on him luring in the deer with his scouts while transitioning up to the feudal age. Just being able to, it gives you such a big tempo advantage, right? Like in a pro scout versus pro scout game, being able to immediately lure in some deer before pro scout even comes into play, just such a big advantage. Then the Desert Raiders, game number 2, perfectly countering out what Anaton was trying to go for with the Manga Die. Just the armor, the damage debuff, also having more movement speed on the Desert Raiders, more health, and overall, just a very, very solid unit to have up against the Mangudai here.
It's such a honestly, I feel like the Desert Raider is like the most awkward unit in this game because like you want to make something like archers, but they have a decent amount of health, so you need a lot of archers to do it. And then you want to make horsemen because of the bonus damage, and the Desert Raiders give bonus damage to the horsemen instead. So they're just like beating the crap out of each other essentially. So it's kind of difficult to know what to make. And I thought Mangudai could have been good for him, but didn't end up being the case. Anatan clawed his way back in this game number 4, as we saw. There was a situation. Look at this. MarineLorD with a military count lead of 76 to 22. Crackety, if I told you right now that Anatan wins this game, you'd call me a liar.
Yeah, this was a crazy turnaround, right? Like, he did manage to kill a lot of villagers in between, granted, but it's still Delhi. They get all their upgrades in for free. It makes up for all the villager losses to a certain degree. Anotand, he aged up with the Grand Filani Corral without any cattle in. He added them in afterwards. By this time, when he had gold issues, he went out to stone and managed to sneak out a ton of villagers out to the large gold in the middle, able to get that keep up. I feel like ever since he got that keep up, ever since MarineLorD retreated past that keep, that is really when the turnaround happened, and Anotand, even going up to Imperial Age, gets all the upgrades in for his archers, then able to just slowly but surely, with a couple of bombards, able to push MarineLorD back bit by bit. And in the end, like, it was such a crazy game being able to come back from that deficit that we had there when it comes to the military.
Yeah, I'll tell you, like, we're going to see them probably the very next replay as MarineLorD starting to retreat, but the archers, the elite archers from Mali, is actually insane. Watching them tear men-at-arms to shreds. And I thought here, because Anatan, he had a lot of archers, he was using poison arrows. We're not going to see it at all, actually. This is game number 5. The archers for him just being able to rip them apart, because I was thinking, oh, he needs Musafati, but it turns out he didn't need them at all. Ended up taking this one, as we can see, for game number 5, a very fitting ending of today being on moving out, and MarineLorD is going to tell Anatan to move on out and go join BC in the losers bracket. But I think, Crackety, you are going to have a interview with MarineLorD. Is that correct?
Yeah, I do believe so. We're waiting for production to give us the heads up when that is. And it looks like MarineLorD is ready for us. All right, so let's jump right into the interview with MarineLorD. All right, welcome MarineLorD. First of all, congratulations for winning in the winners bracket. Now you made it through to the grand finals. How are you feeling after that victory?
I feel pretty good. I don't think I've played perfectly, but it was good enough to win, so that's fine.
Looking at it overall, like, you played some pretty clean games. How was your, if you want to talk about it, of course, since there is still another day going on, how was your preparation going into this? Did you feel confident playing up against Anotand? I believe you also, like, beforehand, not before today, but like before the previous weekends, did practice probably a good bit with Anotand. How were you feeling going into the set?
I was feeling good. I mean, it's always complicated because obviously I can lose to him. But for me to lose to him, it needs to be the correct matchups that he knows very well. And I think I know a lot more than most other players. So when you see, like, for example, third game, I think he didn't know how to play this matchup, and I know how to play this matchup, and I kill him very easily. So when you have this kind of free wins, because he doesn't know, then you just have an easier best of 7, obviously.
Yeah, that was that Ayubit vs Mongol game, and the
Yeah.
Desert Raiders just absolutely tearing those Mangudai apart. Going into a little bit of the earlier games, game number 1, China up against Rus. How did you feel overall going into that game? Like, you lured in the deer very early on. Is that something that you practice against other pro scout builds, or is it something that you just in general decide to do at some point?
I mean, usually you just try to do that with Rus, because you have a lot of scouts. So I scouted the map pretty quickly, and I decided to do that. Usually, people come to counter it, but it's fine. You just have to push it a little bit, so you have a better pro scout timing. The rest of the game was pretty bad, actually. I think I missed macro a lot this game. It was the first one. I was not too much in the series yet. I think it's a mistake. I should be warmed up perfectly, but it was not the case. And yeah, I mean, it's pro scout meta, right? So it's just China against Rus. Whoever's gonna get 3 relics should win. But then I lost a few villagers. That was a problem. But since I was ahead on the composition, since I didn't go cavalry, they are always ahead. So he had to go for a transition, and then I'm in a decent spot. If I get a second TC and he doesn't,
Yeah, exactly. I mean, that's kind of how it played out there at the end. The Knights did manage to get some nice villager kills there, as we did see. Managed to get a second TC up in the end. But yeah, military composition just looking very, very solid there. Walk me through game number 4, because we kind of saw a similar this play out in a very similar way today between Vortex and Beastie, where in the feudal age, Delhi looked very much like they were dominating. And then they wait a little bit too long against the Malians, and suddenly it turns around. What was your how were you feeling when suddenly you saw Anaton reach Castle Age and you weren't able to immediately punish that in Feudal Age?
I was not too worried. I mean, first I was worried about the matchup on this map. I think Delhi is pretty good against Malians in general, like on Arabia or like on Gorge. But on this particular map, since you have all the scouts on the map, you cannot really win the Pro Scout War. He's gonna get so many more deer than you. So it's a very, very good map for Malians. So first I was a bit worried about that because in theory I think... And when I play this matchup as Malians, I never lose. So I was a bit worried trying to find IDs to beat it. I did a decent feudal, and he did a pretty poor one. But I think I really made some big mistakes at some points. Some very bad fights. Some very good fights too. So like it was going both ways. But I think the biggest mistake was letting him having the castle on the big gold. Once I saw this castle and I lost half of my army because I couldn't go back, I knew I was in a... like not dead, but it was getting harder. And I didn't have any full economy, was doing very good raiding. So if I could get like maybe 10 more farms, maybe 5 minutes earlier, I feel like then I can go imp and I'm totally fine because Delhi is broken in imp. But since I couldn't get some farms, he had a very good timing and he perfectly hit it.
Yeah, indeed. Last game I want to talk with you about it was that moving out game. Moving out. I mean, it's a very, I want to say, like heavily discussed map overall.
Yeah.
And what are your overall thoughts on moving out? Is it a map that you think is like good to play, or is it more like a map that is something that you'd rather avoid if you can?
I mean, for a StarCraft player, it's funny to play. It's literally a bit like StarCraft. You have to be everywhere and you have to take good decisions at the same time. Plus, you need to have a good build order. So it's a bit of everything that you need to be good at. On other maps, you don't need mechanics as much. So I just like to have a mechanic battle, and that's a bit different than other maps. And moving out is very special, right? You play the land, you play the small island with towers, and you play on water too. So I don't know, I just like this map. I know for some people it's not the best because demolition ship tends to be pretty hard to micro against. But if you play very well, it's funny, I think.
All right. Thank you so much for the interview, MarineLorD. Going
Thanks.
up into the next set that you'll be having ahead of you, you're going to be facing off either against Anotand again or against Beastie. What are your expectations for this set?
I'm not sure, honestly. I think it's hard to say. I think Anaton played okay today. So if he plays like that tomorrow, I don't think he's gonna lose necessarily. I think Beastie played very bad today, and Vortex very bad too. But I think he played way better the past few weeks. I think Beastie is really hit or miss. I think in the group stage he was terrible. I think in today's game he was not playing good. But before that, I think in like a quarterfinal, semifinal, I think he played decently. So I think he's either in a good day or in a bad day. And if he's in a good day, he might win. If he's not, he might lose to Anaton. Anotand.
All right, so we'll definitely have to be on the lookout whether BC is going to be a hit or miss tomorrow. Thank you so much for the interview, MarineLorD. Once again,
Yeah, thanks.
congratulations, and we'll be seeing more of you tomorrow for sure.
Thanks. Bye bye.